Good morning, this is Newswire. Dennis Aseto. Education, health, agriculture and affordable housing are the priorities for the Kenya Kwanza government, says President William Ruto. The head of state said that he will ensure that the promises he made to Kenyans during the campaign period are fulfilled.
By the grace of God, this country is not going to remain the same. So I have no doubt in my mind that Kenya is going to change, that we are going to deliver on food security, that we are going to deliver on affordable housing, that we are going to deliver on universal health, and that we are going to make sure all our children go to school. I have no doubt in my mind. It's going to happen in our lifetime. It is going to happen because we are determined to do so. Mambo ya hapa katikati ni mambo tu ya kawaida.
The president also said that he will continue uniting Kenyans and do away with the divisive politics.
Na kazi yangu ingine ni kuunganisha Wakenya wote. Hatutaki kubaguana. Mambo ya ukabila tumesema no. Maneno ile ya kusema mirengo tuachane naye. Ndio mnaona hata saa hizi tuko katika broad-based government na tunaendesha hii broad-based tukibroaden, ikiendelea na kuwa broad. Ndio kila mtu aingie hapo ndani tutembee pamoja. Ama mnataka tutengane tena?
National Assembly Majority Leader Kimani Ichung'wah assured that Parliament will continue to collaborate with the government in ensuring that the government's plan is achieved.
Wewe uko na nguvu na uwezo wa kubadili maisha ya Wakenya. Kwa hivyo tutaendelea kukimbiza wewe. Hujakimbizwa, tutakukimbiza, utasalimiwa, na wewe fanya bidii zaidi mpaka yale mambo uliambia Wakenya yatimie, na sisi kwa bunge tutahakikisha ya kuwa tunakupeleka mbio ili utimize yale mambo uliwaahidi wa Kenya, na tuko pamoja na wewe kushirikiana kwa mambo ya kuunda sheria.
Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja asked Kenyans to be patient as the president continues to deliver on his promises.
Ama mnataka ukabila Nairobi? Watu wa Soweto kuna njaa ya Mluya tofauti na ya Mjaluo. Hii barabara inasumbua Wakamba peke yao. Kuna ukosefu ya maji ya Wamijikenda. In Nairobi all our problems, Your Excellency, are the same. Hakuna tofauti kabila hii ama kabila lile.
Now, former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua strongly criticized a section of politicians for what he described as the mistreatment of religious leaders. Gachagua, speaking in Kajiado County, alleged that there is a plan to use chiefs to intimidate clergy across the country. He also urged President William Ruto to listen to the clergy rather than dismiss their concerns.
Na pia tunataka kuuliza, nilikuwa nasikia ati machifu na polisi wanaambiwa ati wakuje kujua ati mambo ya Samuel. Nyinyi machifu na polisi, endeni kwa kazi yenu. Msitumiwe vibaya, hiyo hapana kazi yenu. Kama mnataka kuja kwa sermon, mkuje mhubiriwe, muokoke, muingie kanisani. Si ndio? Yeah, let's allow the Church of Christ. Let us respect the freedom of worship, respect the freedom of expression, freedom of speech in our places of worship.
Gachagua expressed his disappointment with how the government handled the criticism from the Catholic bishops, insisting that the church must be respected.
We were very disappointed when our Catholic bishops spoke and we saw some members of parliament abusing them, lecturing them to our spiritual fathers. Those are anointed men and women of God, and we must respect them. Na hiyo majivuno muko nayo na hiyo maringo, nyinyi mnaweza kuona muko na nguvu sana, muko na mamlaka na mnajisikia sana, ya kwamba mnakosea maaskofu wetu heshima, mnakosea viongozi wetu wa kidini heshima. Be very careful.
He was accompanied by other leaders who asked the government to uphold religious freedom in the country and institutional independence.
Hii serikali iliundwa kwa msingi wa kanisa, na tungetaka tu itege masikio, ikisikia kanisa ikisema jambo, sikiza kabla kukosoa. Situko pamoja.
Na mkiendelea kusimama wima katika kanisa, muendelee kuongea ukweli na kunyenyekea mbele za Mungu na ukweli. Na kanisa mumetufurahisha sana, kwa sababu wakati mumeona maovu inatendeka katika nchi yetu, mumeongea kama kanisa na mukasema mumechoka na uongo, mukasema mumechoka na promises ambazo hazifiki. Ukweli si ukweli?
Now, students in public universities across the country are grappling with an unprecedented academic crisis. From a standoff over the new funding model to prolonged industrial action by lecturers, thousands of students have been left in limbo, with learning activities grinding to a halt. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu. This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh.
The following takes place from 6 a.m. to 10 a.m. every weekday on SpiceFM.
Good morning, and I love your show.
Thank you.
Having come from a Kikuyu radio background, I migrated to Spice because of the content.
I was born in a slum, but somehow I got a break in life. So sometimes when you see the sweating coming out because of the passion and whatever it is, behind the noise, there are people, and we share the same umbilical cord.
It shouldn't be like that. I am so disappointed. We used to tell Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga that he's doing politics of conmanship, and even President Uhuru Kenyatta, serikali hii ndio iko na conmanship ya hali ya juu. You cannot promise people that you reduce tax, then you double.
In politics, there is the issue of trust. For you to turn around and then stab the same people who gave you that trust, there is no other level of dishonesty. And hii mambo utaona dunia tu.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
If we just gloss over issues and hope that time heals, then we might find that in generations to come, we might be back at the same situation. And the whole thing is born of stolen elections.
Spice.
When it comes to the decisions you make, you must be independent. There's no way you can allow one institution to dictate to you how you're going to conduct your operations, how you're going to decide cases. It's a no.
When you weaken the institution to the point where they cannot take action, then you realize that politicians have to come up and now start dealing with the issues.
That conversation has to die. Our politicians do not like the hard stuff. We must insist on the path of doing things right, whether popular or unpopular.
Money changes hands. That is a fact. If you have political goodwill at the highest top, like in Rwanda, then corruption will be an issue of the past. If you don't have political goodwill at the top, we will pass laws, we will amend laws, we will continue passing laws and re-amending laws, and nothing will happen.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
You tune into Kenya's biggest conversation. My name is Ramanyan.
Amen. Amen.
So 1 hour is over?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
It gets over.
Can you imagine
in 20 minutes.
what the big boys have also done?
I'm very proud of myself.
When you understand about partnership in politics, it's like the way marriage is these days. When you're looking for a wife, you're like, oh, you know, maybe you can help me pay for fees as I pay for the rent.
Why should you have a lioness living in your bedroom?
I have to tell you a story. I went for a prayer meeting, which was called for the spouses of candidates for senators and governors. And when I got to the gate, the lady who was the secretary, she refused to. She's telling me, no. Leo tunataka wa mama. Leo ni wa mama. I'm telling her, no. She said, no, sio siku yenu. And I thought, there's a problem here, because if it was a man, but this was a lady.
It will be called First Ladies until you change the name.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
Patrick Lodge, Otieno Lumumba. Karibu sana.
Asante sana.
C.T. Muga.
Thank you very much, Eric, and it's good to be at the Situation Room.
Always a pleasure coming here. This is the most challenging interview panel in Kenya. You guys are very well informed, and as you can see, Charles today very philosophical.
To be poor in this country is the greatest sin you can commit, not just from a legal perspective, but from life generally. It is very, very skewed.
We've just heard on the floor of Parliament, just most recently, a leader within the ODM saying that Sisi ni ng'ombe is a baba.
Yeah.
Which means that you are willing to be milked dry.
You cannot force me to believe. I'll give way. If it's land that I'm told to return to you, I will. Okay? Because the court has said so. But I'll continue saying, watu wamenirusha. That's all that I'm doing.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
This early morning on Monday, there's nothing much happening on the roads. Apparently, it's all looking good. We know that the sections of the road that were being repaired by Kenha through the contractor. So the road has just been dug up. That's Mombasa Road heading towards town. I don't know whether it's closed or some parts are closed or whether some parts are open. They just keep doing that randomly. So we'll see as this thing continues. Thika Superhighway, of course, will already have some issues being this Monday morning. Westlands to town. We'll be looking at all the roads later. But for now, just come to town.
This is the Situation Room. The only way to This is the Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is the Situation Room. The only way to start.
Hello, how are you doing? Mambo namna gani? Welcome to Kenya's biggest conversation. Welcome to the Situation Room. City,
please.
How are you?
Fine, thank you.
Very good.
Yes.
Good to see you, man.
Good to see you too.
Yeah?
Habari ya wewe?
Mimi iko salama kabisa.
Yes.
Welcome to Monday.
Well, thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
This cold weather has abated somewhat.
Yeah.
Yes.
Somewhat, eh?
Not somewhat. But it's a bit too early to predict something with enormous confidence. I will wait and see how the day pans out. Yes. And how the week pans out. Maybe a little warmer today. Tomorrow, for all we know, we wake up and it's cold as wherever it is that is cold. Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. It was good seeing you yesterday, spending an afternoon.
No, it was very,
in the same
very
room.
Good. It was very, very, very good indeed. I liked the vibe in that gathering. I liked the people I met there. You know, but that thing was well organized, man. It was very, very well organized.
It was very well done.
Yes.
It was very well done. We're talking about
Yes.
Martha Karua's launch of her new book. It's called Against the Tide. And that's where we were at the Serena Hotel yesterday with City and many, many other people.
Oh, many Kenyans.
Yes.
Yes. Straddling across all manner of divides.
Yes.
Yes, and all manner of age divisions.
Kabisa.
Yes.
Kabisa. It was a beautiful event.
No, it was. It certainly was.
So for that reason, Martha will be joining us at 8 a.m. to talk about this new book of hers, all right? We've got it here with us. Here it is, Against the Tide. So we'll talk about it. We'll talk about also where you can buy the book. It's Against the Tide, My Journey on a Less Trodden Path by Martha Karua.
There was that little bit that you mentioned. The book is actually free, but there's a slight contribution that you may be required to make.
Yeah.
Just
Not
too
a
much
slight
money.
Just support, the publisher and all those
and everything.
things.
But otherwise, it is free.
The book is free.
Yes.
So she comes in at 8 a.m. for this conversation, looking at the journey. She's talked about very many things. She's talked about, how she grew up, where she grew up. She talked about how she went to school, the various places that she went to school, the O levels, the A levels, the university, Kenya School of Law, joining the judiciary as a magistrate, legal practice, getting into politics, the highs and lows of government, the lonely and less trodden path, the quest for the highest office, continued quest for change, and the epilogue, still we rise.
And then there was the joyful, wondrous bit of people who knew her since she was young, her classmates. Now, beware, people. Don't let your classmates talk about you.
By the way.
And if they do, give them a strict script.
There's what they said.
There's what they said.
Yes. Well, so that's our 8 a.m. conversation, all right, that will be happening today. Professor Kitile Naituli is a professor and ex-commissioner at the National Cohesion and Integration Commission. He was also in that room yesterday, and he'll be joining us at 7 a.m. The bishop's bold stand on corruption, rights abuse, moral warning to the government. What does this mean? What's Professor's interpretation of what we've seen from the bishops saying, and the response by the government as well on this? And not just the bishops, even opposition leader, I think let's just call him former opposition leader. Former opposition leader Raila Odinga has also spoken about this. He's no longer the leader of ODM.
No, he's not. So he's former.
He's former opposition leader. Current opposition leader is Rigathi Gachagua. Okay?
Yes.
Yeah. And then today is, what date is the 18th of what years?
Of November.
Of November 8th.
Yes.
Right? On this 18th day of November 8th, we're going to have a conversation, about 16 days of activism against what? Against gender-based what?
Violence.
And this, of course, 16 days of GBV begin on the 25th of November, and they run all the way until the 10th of December. 25th of November is the International Day for Elimination of Violence Against Women, and the 10th of December is a Human Rights Day, but we'll have this day a precursor to this. 16 days of activism against gender-based violence. Sylvia Maina, who's a regional gender communications specialist at UN Women, East and Southern Africa. Cannibal Oganga, who is a program specialist, gender statistics advisor at UN Women Kenya, and Rachel Kagoya, who is executive director at Roots Kenya. The three of them will join us at 9 a.m. for that conversation. So that's what we'll be discussing today. Ndu is not with us today. She is dealing with one or two issues happening pale. Hopefully she will be able to join us when? Tomorrow, right? So let's take this quick break, take a look at the weather forecast at 18 minutes after 11. We're live streaming the show, we always do, and you know where we do it. Yes, it's on SpiceFM, on YouTube, on Facebook, on everywhere else. Let's take a look at the weather.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. The weather with SpiceFM.
I took a moment because I was trying to start this weather thing and it wasn't coming on, but now it's on. It's mostly going to be a sunny day in Nairobi, highs of 25 later. Clear skies in Kakamega, highs of 30. Clear skies, mostly cloudy day in Mombasa, clear, and highs of 32. In Malindi, mostly sunny day, highs of 32. Sunny day in Nakuru, highs of 26. Nyeri town, sunny day, highs of 25. Eldoret, clear skies, highs of 24. Kisumu, mostly clear, highs of 30. Okay? Now, in Kinshasa, rain at highs of 31. Mostly cloudy in Kampala, highs of 27. Mostly sunny in Johannesburg, highs of 28. Mostly clear in Lagos, highs of 32. Mostly sunny in Mogadishu, highs of 32. Addis Ababa, sunny, highs of 23. Dar es Salaam, mostly sunny, highs of 32. Well, they had a tragedy in Dar es Salaam, in Kariakor, Dar es Salaam over the weekend. People have died. Building collapsed. Very soon we'll start having this conversation about buildings collapsing, by the way, City.
I think we must.
Yeah, because buildings are collapsing in Kenya, in Tanzania. What's causing?
Why are buildings collapsing?
Yeah.
And they're not old buildings. Huh?
Yeah.
No.
A building just comes up and then it comes down.
No sooner had it come up than.
Yeah, we will dedicate some time to this conversation. And in Paris, mostly cloudy, highs of 11. London, heavy rains at 8. Partly cloudy night in New York, highs of 17. And then Beijing is mostly sunny. They've gotten into winter season. Highs of 7 in Beijing, lows of 0. Right now, it's 5 degrees in Beijing.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Let me tell you something. We have a machine here that is behaving the way it wants to behave. And when machines behave the way they want to behave, you tell them what? She'll behave.
Politely, gently.
She'll behave, bwana. Ni nini mbaya, bwana. Just Guess says, did I spot someone amongst you emceeing the Against the Tide book launch? I don't know. How good are your spotting skills? Bwangi Juma is the church. Let the church be consistent on matters calling the government to order. Remember Njoya. Yes. Delvin Sonjembo says, good morning, Eric and City. Where is Ndu again? Well, Ndu will be joining us tomorrow. Hopefully she's dealing with one or two issues. Tips Muga, good morning. Team SpiceFM. Moirori Njane, good morning, City and Eric. Weekend was top. Yeah. Finally, Uhuru spoke. Martha's book, Against the Tide, inspiring. Yeah. Sam Chelule. Good morning, team. Looking forward to the discussions. Faisal Abdi, good morning. Rachel Wanjiro, good morning. Eric City, Ndu Kumbe, the Catholic bishops were right after the government's having been busy with press statements. Akiki, good morning. Nyakundi Emmanuel, Elvis Kirando, Peter Karaoke, Dhoiten Jaguna, Wababa. No, not Wababa, it's Wabara. Wabara is in Melbourne, Australia. How you doing, mate? You right, mate? Okay. Johnston Asaya, Kennedy Omuya, Vignette Linus Gitonga, Jay Capello, James Kamau, Edwin Nyaburi, Kelvin Kaburu, Tuk anasema kahawa sukari tuko ndani. Leo, my prince, Onganya Malala, Precious Gondi, Cecilia Ongwenyi, good morning, Spice FM team. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. A good leader listens to correction, especially from the people of God. Ni hayo tu kwa sasa. Asante dada. Tumepokea ujumbe. Jimmy Kakeo, Patrick Waishigo, Eunice, Events by Morgan, Collins Kimei, Sir George Gashwiri, Sami Ludanya. Nyinyi wote muko ndani. Rose Grace says good morning. Robert Bogo, Musi Els, my countrymen and women, good morning. Georgia Koth, hello my peeps. Eric City, Princess Ndu, Ednah, Yego. Ednah ako nyumbani, Yego pia ako nyumbani. Sasa tuko na Lydiah hapa na watu wengine kadhaa kama vile Frank yuko hapa, salimia Frank, na Avin pia yuko hapa. What a weekend, watching live from Miami, Florida. Karibuni sana everybody. You know, City, I forgot to tell you.
Please remember
there was some great public demand that you continue with those proverbs, the Swahili proverbs from Kenya.
Oh.
But anyway,
what we will do,
give it a consideration.
We will give it a consideration after we have looked at proverbs from the Republic of Burundi.
Very good.
Okay.
So now today we are in Burundi.
Yeah, we're still in sub-Saharan Africa.
Okay.
Africa of the sub-Saharan South.
Very good.
Yes.
Hiya.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
According to the cow, God has a wet nose.
According to the cow,
yes.
God has a wet nose.
Yes.
According to the cow, God has a wet nose. Because the cow was created in the likeness of God.
Yes, exactly. Reminds me of my grandmother, who declared many, many years ago that God must be a Luo. And we asked her why. She said, but the Bible is in Luo.
That, you know,
so we
makes sense.
Actually,
and his name is?
Yes, I.
Very good.
So, what else could he possibly
mean? Surely.
Actually, it's in very many languages. The one you know how to read is the one which is in Luo, but the others.
Let's look at the headlines. The Standard this morning, unwanted guest, Kenya's most hated bird. Page 2 of the Standard has that story looking at the unwelcome guests. Crows pose big threat to coast ecosystem. This story about the coast and the crows has actually been there for long. We'll look at it. Care for elders goes a notch higher. That's page 3 of the Standard as well. Team to audit billions in pension debt. Chronic wastage in schools as 200,000 students drop out.
This isn't good.
200,000 students. While government is insisting that all KCPE candidates transition to secondary, the number of students sitting for the KCSE tells a different story. One of consistent decline. Yeah. Those who sit KCPE and those who sit KCSE, there's a gap. Where is that gap? You can't tell me 200,000 students die every year.
Nope, they did not die.
No, you know?
Mm-hmm.
How yeah. National lecturers in endless fight for better pay. End of an era as Nadal retires. My goodness, he has. Spanish superstar Rafael Nadal is aiming to cap his emotional farewell from tennis with another Davis Cup triumph in Malaga tomorrow. It's Kesho. Malaga was flooded last week. COP29 and flawed climate finance plan. And then the main headline in the Standard today, Gachagua, is life better now that I've been impeached? That's what he's asking.
Well, it's a good question, isn't it?
Is life better?
No.
Ni sawa. You impeached me, ni sawa. Okay, so now, is life better?
I think Brother Gachagua is alive and well.
Former Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua yesterday wondered aloud why Kenyans are facing the same problems he was being blamed for, even as President William Ruto said he will ensure his broad-based government thrives. Gachagua, give them time. See, even you asking us to give you time when you're in office. Give them time. Boy.
He gave them time. See, he was there when time was being given.
That time is enough?
It's now.
In the Daily Nation, more Kenyans have sunk into poverty, report shows. Scramble for Uhuru as Mount Kenya political volcano erupts. At a glance, no. Auctioneers go after senator over 1.25 million rent arrears. A Nairobi court orders Runda police to assist fantasy auctioneers to access Karen Nyamu's home to seize household items and sell them to recover 1.25 million rent arrears. The main headline in the Daily Nation today, 2027. Matiang'i taps Botswana polls experts. Former Interior Minister Fred Matiang'i has signed a contract with a firm led by ex-Israeli Mossad agent Ari Ben Menashe, who powered the surprise victory of Duma Boko in recent Botswana polls as he seeks to unseat President Ruto in 2027 elections. So Matiang'i, huku he's quiet, kumbe him is preparing for 2027.
That is, we're referring to the presidential election in Kenya.
Yes.
This country.
He does not want to be president of Botswana. He hired the same guys that the Botswana guy hired, but now him is for Kenya.
All right.
Yeah.
See, that's a good thing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Sana. Tell us about you have many papers, right?
You have no idea just how many.
You have the Star.
I have Business.
You've got the Business Daily, and you've got the East African.
Buana,
Let's
all
go.
These papers I am having.
Tell us.
Why don't we start with the Star?
All right.
Top right-hand corner in teal green. The picture of the cover of Martha Karua's book, Against the Tide. Why Kibaki did not deal with the Anglo-leasing craft scandal. Stories on page 2. Okay. Part of what is in the book, Against the Tide. Children's welfare. How a dingy Nairobi daycare opened Sabrina's eye on need for giving infants quality start. This is a story on page 2 of the Star. Okay? Co-founder of Kidogo, Sabrina Habib in Nairobi. Okay? Right. Legal battle. Reprieve for politician in fraud saga as court declines to force him to pay 636 million Kenyan shillings. Again, this story is on page 2. And the story revolves around the 2022 Embakasi East parliamentary seat. Okay?
Yes.
Okay. Then opinion pages. Benedict Orotich, Politics of Tribe, a Danger to Unity. That is what he has penned, and that's his view. Bang in the middle of this particular paper, battle for the soul. Bishops have criticized Kenya Kwanza regime over unfulfilled promises. Courting the church, Ruto Rigathi all-out war. The head of state is on charm offensive to win crucial church support ahead of 2027 polls. Okay? That is the Star newspaper. Now let us look at the Business Daily. CBK's headache as 4 directors exit. Why is it a headache? If they've exited, they exit another...
4 directors of what?
The Central Bank of Kenya faces legal headache in complying with law requiring staggered replacements as it prepares for the exit of 4 board members next month. Okay?
Wow.
Yeah. They were supposed to exit. I still don't understand the headache, but perhaps if I read the story on page 4...
Because you're supposed to have some level of continuity.
Yes, you're supposed
4 of them retiring at the same time. How did we come to this?
That is what one is asking, because it appears that they were all appointed more at the same time, isn't it?
Allah.
So it wasn't staggered. Because the only way you can all leave at more or less the same time is if you're appointed more or less at the same time.
Yeah.
Yes. So somewhere along the line, certain dots were not I'd and certain T's were not crossed. Sawa.
Okay.
State plans air tickets, aircraft. No, let me read this thing. I've read my own thing here. State plans air tickets, aircraft parts, tax cut.
Okay.
The state is planning to cut taxes for parts, spare parts, ndege, okay? And then air tickets. So,
Very good.
If that happens, it means that we'll be flying cheaply. Is that not so?
Very good.
All right. We will see how that happens.
Remember, flying is the cheapest mode of transport. I mean, not the cheapest, the safest.
It is the safest. It is the safest. Yes. Kenyan gets 1.43 billion tax waiver.
Wow.
The Kenya Revenue Authority waived 1.43 billion in accumulated taxes by electricity producer Kenyan following a review ending a decade-long dispute. So you're giving these guys money, and we know they have money, and then you want us to be paying this 1 point. Anyway, I will read that story.
It's a dispute. That tells you that dispute that KRA comes to you and tells you owe them. They don't spare anyone. They went to Kenyan. 10 years, Kenyan was like, we don't owe you that much.
We've been paying you.
Boss, we do not owe you this money. No, you owe us money.
So we're saying this is a misrepresentation, not waiver. Is it?
Yeah.
They figured that money was not owed to begin with. All right. Boost for coffee exporters as EU defers deforestation rules. Really? Kenya coffee exporters have been handed more time to meet the European Union's rules meant to discourage deforestation after EU Parliament voted to postpone the implementation.
Okay.
Somehow deforestation was connected with the coffee.
All right.
Right. Unclaimed cash shares dividends cross 75 billion shillings. Money which is being held by the authority that deals with unclaimed cash. You may figure 75 billion. Right?
Very good.
Where this money goes, we must know. Bank in the middle of the paper. Bank CEOs summoned over costly loans, cheap deposits.
Bank CEOs.
They have been summoned by the CBK.
Whoa.
CBK concerned banks are slow to lower lending rates. Average return on fixed deposit rate has fallen to 11.24.
Very good.
Central Bank of Kenya, Kamau Thuge, has cracked the whip and said, come here. Come.
Explain yourself.
Tell us exactly why you're doing this thing.
Explain yourselves.
Right. That is where we are. East Africa, let me just go back to the middle of the paper quickly. Nairobi gambles on new visa fees. Kenya has revised newly introduced electronic travel authorization, ETA, fees, leaving players in the tourism sector worried it could be another barrier to the free movement that the sector relies on to boost.
Wait a minute. We have reviewed that fee again.
We are, but the direction is not clear.
It's upwards.
But if I read the story on page 4 and 5, it appears so.
What does the intro say?
Let me just read it for you so you understand.
Okay.
According to Okoh Mtata, this is not about taxes, let's be truthful. But what EI got to do with taxes? This is about surveillance.
What does this say about the electronic tax or travel authorization?
All right. What they're saying is this: Kenya's decision to revise visitor entry authorization fees may jolt an overall tourism scene in the East African region, even as authorities in Nairobi say they will monitor for impact. This week, Kenya formally revised and introduced new electronic travel authorization ETA fees, raising concerns from the tourism sector. Stakeholders worry that it would be yet another barrier to free movement. The ETA first launched in January was President William Ruto's ambition to raise tourism numbers beyond the COVID-19 levels when at least 1.2 million arrived in the country. Okay? Yes. Some of those used to travel to Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda under the EAC tourism visa arrangement. That cost $100 and allow visitors up to 90 days stay. Even though the East African tourism visa was meant to raise visitors numbers in the bloc, some countries like Tanzania had been reluctant to sign it, arguing the arrangement gave priority to Kenya. But even though the visa remains on the books, countries like Rwanda have since waived most visa requirements, giving opportunity to travelers unfettered access as long as they can carry valid documents.
So, okay. Anyway, okay, tuendelee. Next gazette.
Hiyo ni yote tu. The only other gazette ambayo niko nayo hapa is China Daily.
China Daily.
Joint efforts urged to meet challenges facing Asia Pacific. Okay. Stabilizing Sino-US ties emphasized. Beijing and Washington agree to ensure smooth transition of relations. Okay?
Okay.
All good, all good, all good.
Very good. Let me tell you what's in the People Daily. MPs form a team to rescue CDF amid Raila onslaught. Raila spoke about CDF and said, CDF, MP. Now MPs have formed a team to try and, justify why they need to continue controlling CDF. Ruto, I will release 2.5 billion shillings to hospitals. Okay. Inside plot to purge Gachagua allies from key House teams. And then the main headline in the People Daily, how agencies are stealing roads cash. The Auditor General paints grim picture of the conduct of Kenha, Kera and Kura on the use of taxpayers' money meant for key infrastructure. In the audit report of the previous year, a number of issues were raised. Management of the three agencies have not given any explanation on how the issues were resolved. That's Nancy Gadungo in her report. Okay? Haya, let us go to hii gazeti yetu inaitwa Taifa Leni. Taifa Leo.
Taifa Today.
Yes. Mbadi ahidi usawa katika ugavi wa pesa. Hapa kubadili namna pesa za ustawi nchini zinavyogawika. Amesema the revenue sharing him is going to make sure that there is equity. Kuna picha hapa ya bwana Kithure Kindiki, Profesa Kithure Kindiki ambaye ni naibu wa rais. Tutaheshimu ushauri wa makanisa. Naibu wa rais apuuzilia mbali hofu kuwa serikali itawawinda wakosoaji. Amesema kosoa sisi unavyotaka, usiku utalala. Ujerumani, Uholanzi ni kazi kwisha. Hii inaangalia mambo ya nini? Mambo ya UEFA. Gavana Ayako akarangwa. Senator Okech aungana na wabunge kutoka kaunti ya Migori kumpa pressure ya kisiasa gavana wa kaunti hiyo ya Migori anaitwa nani? Ochilo Ayako. Haya. Halafu hapa katika ukurasa wa 3, ukimwi huua zaidi wanaume. Ripoti yasema japo HIV huambukizwa wanawake zaidi, wanaume ndio hufa zaidi. So more women get infected.
More men die.
But more men get to die.
Yes.
All right. Haya. Katikati mwa gazeti, dalili zajitokeza kuwa mlima Kenya umemponyoka Ruto. Hili likiwa pigo kwake katika kura za mwaka 2027. Headline leo ni swali. Mlima umeenda? Mlima umeenda? Kuna picha hapa ya William Ruto ambaye amejishika anawaza anasema salale. Hajasema hivyo lakini anakaa ni kama mtu amesema salale. Balaa baada ya mapokezi baridi ya rais katika hafla ya kidini Embu Jumamosi. Wadadisi wasema eneo hilo limemtema kisiasa. Hivyo basi anahitaji kuibuka na mbinu mpya za kujizolea wafuasi. Manake vile inakaa
haikai.
Aliambiwa asiguze mlima, akaguza mlima. Sasa mlima imeenda. Haya, 20-7, let's take a look at traffic.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day. 102.5 SpiceFM, Kisumu.
What I'm just saying is that Thika Superhighway has started building up. It's going all the way past KSMS and heading towards town, but Kiambu Road is looking okay. Jogoo Road is only the usual areas, Makadara and Makongeni area coming towards City Stadium roundabout. Landis Road is only busy around the retail market. Mombasa Road is looking anywhere. It is moving slowly and nicely. North Airport Road is also looking okay. The bypasses are looking fine. Uhuru Highway is okay. Limuru Road is alright. Westlands heading towards town, the whole of Oyakiwe is okay. Even looking at James Keshoro is fine. Even looking at Lower Kabete Road, all of them are fine. Let's see how they'll be looking like in about 20 minutes or so.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Let's look at page 4 of the Standard, okay? The headline, Transition Crisis as over 200,000 learners fail to reach Form 4. Over 200,000 students who would have sat the 2024 KCSE exam are missing 4 years after completing their primary school education, raising questions about the government's push for a 100% transition. While the government insists that all KCPE candidates transition to secondary school, the number of students sitting the KCSE tells a different story, one of consistent decline. Data analyzed by the Standard from the past 3 cohorts of students reveals that over 568,000 learners who joined secondary school under the 100% transition policy have disappeared from the education system. This trend casts doubt on the policy's implementation, and it highlights challenges in retention, the real-life struggle of Kenyan families. In the last 3 years, City, all right, 568,000 learners who should have sat KCSE this year, last year, and the year before last did not. And the question is, why did they not complete basic education? More than 500,000 learners. Okay? 2024 KCSE cohort marks the sharpest decline to date. While 192,000 candidates sat for the KCPE exam in 2020, only 965,501 are sitting the KCSE this year. This gap is 213,691 students, and that's the highest and the largest since the policy's rollout in 2018. The revelation calls into question the 100% transition policy initiated by former President Uhuru Kenyatta, as the figures expose a persistent trend of student attrition. Since the policy's implementation, 3 cohorts have completed secondary school, with worrying patterns emerging. In 2022, the pioneer class of the transition policy revealed a discrepancy. 1,052,364 students sat for KCPE in 2018. Only 881,416 took KCSE 4 years later, a shortfall of 170,948. This decline continued in 2023, where 184,003 students who sat for 2019 KCPE were unaccounted for in the 2023 KCSE. The 100% transition policy was designed to guarantee every child's right to 12 years of basic education as mandated by the Constitution. Stakeholders are explaining possible scenarios that could have led to this decline, including students dropping out due to pressures of poverty or teenage pregnancy. We cannot ignore the realities. Many students, especially in marginalized areas, issues like poverty, teenage pregnancy, and the hidden cost of education force many to drop out despite the 100% transition policy. This is according to Willie Kuria, the Kenya Secondary School Heads Association chairman. He further indicates that class repetition may have also contributed to the decline. The practice of class repetition has been a common feature under 844. People don't repeat class in secondary school, do they?
You know, I'm looking at you this way
in primary.
I'm wondering.
Yeah.
You can, in theory, you can.
In secondary?
You can.
Okay, well, let's say. So, teenage pregnancy, get out of school, come back, you go back to the previous class.
Yes, you can.
Poverty, drop out of school, not feel...
You can go back.
You go, come back to the previous
you
class.
You can.
Okay. But then that cannot be... if you're coming back, then you'll be counted among the cohort that you've joined.
Yes, that's what will happen. There's a gap, isn't there?
Janet Muthoni Okoh faulted the program for being short-sighted as it only focuses on enrolling students in secondary school but lacks a clear path for ensuring continuity through the 4 years. For us to succeed in a 100% transition, we must empower sub-county schools, equipping them with the required infrastructure, teachers and other facilities for teaching and learning. That is true. Akelo Misori, Cooper Secretary General, argued that the 100% transition policy has not been properly executed. It lacks a sustainable way to ensure learners remain in school, over the 4 years. I mean,
there's a problem. And there is a serious problem.
It's a big one.
Yes.
These are very many
because
learners.
Those numbers are daunting. Those numbers speak of a system that is not doing very well.
We're talking about 20% every year. 20%, about 24% of the students who sit their KCPE, 20% of them drop out.
This goes against the grain of everything that has been spoken of regarding one, free primary education, and the need to transition everyone. This everyone hasn't been fulfilled over there, right there.
This is a big thing. And then if you think about even what Janet is saying, a majority of the KCPE candidates end up in the sub-county schools.
Yes,
right? Now, what is the quality of education that they're getting in the sub-county schools? We've raised this issue before. Dr. Manyasa keeps asking this question. Says, look at the equity. Many of these day secondary schools at sub-county level are not well equipped. You don't have sufficient TSC teachers. You do not have sufficient labs. You don't have good number of schools. So this is where the free day secondary education policy is allegedly being implemented. Now, if you have free day secondary school, why would many of these students be dropping out? It can't be because they lacked school fees.
No, this isn't also the COVID period when you could say COVID prevented this and COVID brought about this. This isn't COVID, this is 2024.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is this one. Let's wait and see. So when the Catholic bishops released a statement about the quality of education that we're offering, we saw Julius Migos, the CS, release a statement immediately. Let's see if he was going to release a statement here.
He will release a statement.
Explaining how 200,000 plus students who should have been sitting KCSE this year are not sitting KCSE.
I am positive that he will find reason and that he will try to explain it. But whether that explanation will be satisfactory is what I doubt.
Yeah.
200,000.
That's a huge number. That's a very, very big number. That's a very big number. It is more than the number of students who qualify to go to university.
It is more, definitely. And the thing that I find particularly disturbing is that you're talking about students in terms of numbers without realizing just the impact you're having. Because 200,000 students represent 200 plus families.
Yep.
So what are we saying?
Yep.
The sacrifices that had been made prior to that, everything about their learning now simply goes to dust.
Alafu, where do they end up? So they're not here. Where do they end up? Do they end up in the vocational training colleges that are run by counties? Do they end up there? Because if you could explain and say, all right, so these ones, they dropped out of secondary school, but then they went somewhere where they acquired a skill. You can say, all right, so they did not go through the entire up to Form 4, but then they went into another auxiliary learning where they got a skill at the vocational training colleges run by counties. Are we saying that? Or are we saying we just don't know?
We are saying this on their behalf. And they're the ones who should be telling us this. In fact, these numbers, by the time they're being highlighted, doesn't the ministry think they are the ones who ought to have highlighted this?
The ministry should be raising these issues.
They are the ones who should have raised it as an alarm and say, look, we are concerned about these numbers, because they are the ones who have the numbers. They're the repository for numbers when it comes to students.
Yep.
Now, the problem with the explanations that are required when such an occurrence is before us is now they become defensive. Okay? Now you want to present it as though, no, the figures aren't quite right. No, that's not the point. That's not
the point. Is 100% transition should mean 100% transition.
Yes.
And transition is not just 8 into Form 1.
No.
It should be 8 into Form 4.
this is
Actually, the transition should be getting into kindergarten, transitioning
right through
all the way to Form 4.
My friend, you're talking about the lives of these young people who are going to be getting older by the day.
Yeah.
If they're not being educated, what's happening to them? What are they doing? And what are we breeding?
Yeah. Tell us another story, please.
Okay, let me look at the Star. There is first of all, let me look at the Daily Nation.
Okay.
There's this story of auctioneers go after Senator, what's her name again? Karen Nyam. Why is this a story?
Let's see. Tell us.
I'm asking because I don't understand. Okay? I honestly don't understand why it's given such prominence. Is it because she's a senator?
Yes.
It's because she's a senator?
Yes.
And senators are not supposed to have debts.
She's a public figure.
Okay. I just want to ask that question. I didn't want to tell the story. I'm just asking, of all the stories
Tell us
we
the
could
story, Buana. Tell us the story, Buana.
All right, let me look at it.
You know, there are certain expectations that if you hold public office, then, Public Officer Ethics Act and all.
Oh, I understand that.
You're unable to pay rent. If you're unable to pay rent, what's the problem? We are paying you. Are you saying that, are we saying that you are, living beyond your means?
If the means that you live with beyond you,
we provide you with the means. Are you saying it's not enough?
Police officers will accompany auctioneers to the home of nominated Senator Karen Nyamu Wright to attach household items of alleged rent arrears amounting to 1.2 million. A Nairobi court directed Runda Police to assist fantasy auctioneers who have sought to enter her home and recover household items for sale over alleged arrears. Milimani Principal Magistrate A.H. Nyoike gave the orders last week, directing Runda Police Commander to assist the auctioneers to access Jamu's home in Runda's blah, 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 blah. Okay? I am trying to understand. There is nothing in the story here that explains whether there had been conversations about the repayment of this debt, whether it had reached an end, and that is why they have, because this is an extreme action that had gotten to the point where this is being said. The only thing that is reported here is it is quoted that she said, whatever the auctioneer is doing is wrong. I will definitely be heading to court, she said, in response to the rent dispute. It's a dispute. Court documents in our possession showed that the Runda police commander, Rose Ndolo, sought the advice from her boss in Gigiri on the planned raid after being served with a court order on November 13th. Okay? Why I am raising this issue is this. Owing money is not a crime. People owe. Okay?
Yes.
There should have been details of how it got to the point where auctioneers are being brought in.
I think it's there. It talks about the landlords raising the issue and going to court in November last year.
I understand all
why
that.
the debt was this much.
Yes. But I'm saying these things are often settled when people sit and talk and come to an understanding. The dispute means there's something disagreed about. We are not being told what that thing is. No, just landlord went.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
Landlord got order.
Yes.
Okay, auctioneers are now. I am raising this matter because this is a dispute between a tenant and the landlord.
Yes.
And it's gotten the headlines of our papers. That is my issue. Even if it was a senator, okay? Even if it was somebody higher than a senator, surely.
Personal matters should be kept out.
Man, this is rent.
You're saying
it isn't as though she was in a gang of people who went and robbed a bank. That's a completely different matter. Or there was some $500 million loss somewhere and she was a director of that particular. It's a completely different matter. This is a domestic issue in the headline of our papers.
Yes.
I know.
If it involved violence, if it involved domestic violence, would it be okay if it appeared in a paper?
No, it would not be okay. It would be okay so if you're raising an issue of gender violence.
If there's an issue of gender-based violence,
if you raise that
between
issue,
a public figure and their spouse,
yes,
is it okay for it to be in the news?
It is not okay for it to be highlighted because the highlight is not the gender violence. Usually, the highlight is the individual.
Yes,
that's what I'm raising.
Because Chapter 6 of our Constitution raises issues about ethics and integrity, and anything that touches on your integrity, then touches on Chapter 6 of the Constitution.
Eric, it does.
Public Officer Ethics Act.
I agree.
Leadership and Integrity Act.
I agree.
And all those.
Yes.
Is how you behave in private and how you behave in public. You go around slapping somebody and you're a public officer, that is a national issue. Because we're asking ourselves.
We saw what it did to a deputy CJ.
Yep.
We saw. We did see. That is not the issue that I am raising. The punching, the slapping, the pinching the nose. You know, this is rent. This is rent, bwana. Rent. She didn't go to the neighbor's house and kill the dog. No, this is rent.
Impunity. It could point to impunity.
Anajua ni senator.
Ni mshahara imechelewa. You see, we are paying you, bwana. Tumechelewa kulipa mshahara.
Somebody seems to have a beef for this lady here. This is not... Everything that is happening in this country, this is something you're looking at the paper and you're seeing the story.
Bang, front page, kwanza. Front page.
Are you telling this thing has received even more mileage than Uhuru and his appearance in Embu? Which is of the significance of Uhuru appearing in public is of significance national interest.
Now that story, that Uhuru appearing in public has been in a full page coverage. Scramble for Uhuru as political volcano in the mountain erupts.
I'm talking about headline.
See, copy your headline.
No,
it is there with Uhuru, right below the headline of Karanyamu is the headline of.
Okay, you've said it precise. That's what I meant. When you turn the pages, it's a completely different story. But I think the point I'm making, you've heard. It's not that you've understood. You have heard. Let me look at...
Candle is sweet.
Let me look. No, this. Bank CEO summoned over costly loans, cheap deposits. Okay, Thuge, now that you've summoned them, well, then what will happen? The Central Bank of Kenya will this week step up pressure on commercial banks to cut lending rates at a crunch meeting with chief executives of top lenders who have started lowering interests on savings. The regulator is concerned that the banks are quick to cut deposit rates but slow to lower lending rates in line with cuts in the benchmark rate, delaying relief to borrowers plagued with costly loans. The Kenya Bankers Association, the bankers lobby, said the meeting with the regulator over the rates would happen this week. The CBK had on October 16th announced that it would turn the screw on the chief executives of top banks like KCB, Equity Cooperative Bank, NCBA, and M Bank, Absa, Standard Chartered, and DTB to lower lending rates at a brainstorm meeting. Right, we will see how that happens. What happens?
We'll observe.
We'll observe.
We'll observe and see.
It's just, this is news. We will see.
Okay, let me just give you the short brief of what this Nation headline is saying about Matiang'i and 2027. Newly elected Botswana President Duma Boko and Dr. Fred Matiang'i hired the same foreign lobbyist in July to support their presidential bids. Boko enlisted the services of prominent Canadian lobbying firm Dickens and Madson on July 10th. 3 days later, that's July 13th, Dr. Matiang'i signed a contract with the same firm, and this is according to documents filed by Dickens and Madson with the U.S. Department of Justice under the Foreign Agents Registration Act. The filing that has been seen by the Nation includes copies of the respective contracts that Dr. Matiang'i and Mr. Boko signed with Ari Ben Menashe. Okay? So the Nation has, these guys have to file in America, they have to file even the contract. Here's the contract that we've signed with this person. And the Nation has seen the contract. And it says that Matiang'i is asking this company to help prepare fundraising, lobbying in America and elsewhere, PR work of positioning him as a suitable and credible person, ahead of 2027. That is according to what has been filed with the U.S. authorities. Time for the news, 8:07 a.m.
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is Newswire. Dennis Aseto. The government is optimistic that the challenges surrounding SHIF will be addressed despite concerns being raised from different quarters. President William Ruto is assuring you that the new hospital insurance will lessen your burden when it comes to accessing medical services.
Ile madawa inatusumbua katika mahospitali. Katika mpango huu, mahospitali kila dispensary, sasa wananchi wenyewe watajumuika katika kuisimamia.
Health Cabinet Secretary Deborah Baraza urged political leaders to help enlighten Kenyans over Social Health Authority registration, saying registered Kenyans are benefiting from the scheme. The CS said her ministry is determined to ensure every Kenyan can access affordable health care, but there is need for collective responsibility in registering for the new public health scheme.
Rais wetu wa Kenya, Mheshimiwa Dr. William Samoei Ruto aliongea mambo ya universal health cover. Tusikuwe tunaangalia tu tajiri. Sasa wakati huu bado iko changa, ndio tumepatikana na changamoto hapa na pale, tunatatua tukienda, lakini pia nimejifunza kitu moja, nikasema wacha nikae mashinani ndio nielewe kutoka kwa Kenya, nielewe nikae na ma MCA, ma MPs, senators, tutatue hii maneno, tuwaelimishe, waelewe, mposa wa Kenya wa register, alafu wa Kenya waweze kuhudumiwa.
This as various leaders continue to pour cold water on the implementation of the medical scheme that has left many Kenyans stranded and unable to access medical services. Gadhoni Mbushomba is Githunguri MP.
Mimi ni mama ambaye amejifungua watoto na niko na mtoto wangu mmoja pale amekuja kusoma na mimi kanisa, na ninasikia uchungu sana nikiwa mama ya kwamba tunaenda hospitali tunapata mpangilio huu mpya wa SHA na SHIF unatuchanganya. Tunaenda huko tunaambiwa kabla hujatibiwa lazima ulipe 3,500, 3,900. Na kuna mama rafiki yangu wa miaka 90 ambaye alienda hospitali akaambiwa hawezi tibiwa kama hajalipa 3,900 shillings. Na huyu mama amekuwa akienda hospitali na kadi ya NHIF na alikuwa analipa 500 shillings per month.
Deputy President Kithure Kindiki now says that the government has no problem with the criticism being raised by the church. Kindiki, while speaking in Kirinyaga, admitted that there are issues surrounding some of government's projects, giving assurance that the government will address them all.
Utawala huu ama serikali iliyopo sasa haina vita vyovyote na kanisa. Sisi tunajua ya kwamba serikali za kiulimwengu, serikali za hapa ulimwenguni zinaongozwa na wanadamu. Na wanadamu saa zingine ile bidii yetu haikuangi kamili. Ni kweli ama si kweli? Kuna mambo mengine, program zingine tumeanzisha kulingana na ile manifesto tulikuwa tumepeana. Mambo mengine yako na matatizo hapa na pale, na tunasikiliza kama vile rais alisema jana, Mheshimiwa William Ruto. Tunasikiliza ili tuhakikishe kwamba miradi ile ya serikali ambayo iko ile matatizo kidogo kidogo ile ambayo kanisa inasema irekebishwe.
He said that the government will continue addressing the plight of the youth in the country as they are the future of the country.
I am very happy to see young people with the kind of wisdom that I have seen you speaking here. Because of the pride of our nation is in bringing up responsible younger people who will take over the affairs of our country when we, the older people, have exited the stage.
And Nandi Senator Samson Cherargei assured the church that the head of state will listen to the grievances being raised by them.
I want to ask the church na leaders of faith, kama muko na jambo na rais ako tayari kuwasikiza, mulango ya State House iko wazi. He is ready to listen and work with you. Si namna hiyo? Amesema yuko tayari kusikiza, si viongozi peke yake wa kidini, pia Wakenya wote ambao wako na maoni na maono ya kubadilisha taifa letu la Kenya, so that we allow the president to deliver on the pledges that we have given to the country. Rais wetu anapongangana anapigwa vita na masanbalat.
And Russia unleashed its largest airstrike on Ukraine in almost 3 months, launching 120 missiles and 90 drones that killed at least 7 people and caused severe damage to the power system. Now, Ukrainians had been bracing for weeks for a renewed Russian attack on an already hobbled energy system, fearing long winter blackouts and mounting psychological pressure almost 1,000 days after Russia launched its full-scale invasion. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
SpiceFM, Nakuru.
What's happening on the roads? Let me tell you what's happening on the roads. So Thika Superhighway had stretched all the way to Survey about 25 minutes ago. Right now, it is... you behave. It has stretched all the way to Outer Ring, okay? And Kiambu Road is not looking so bad, actually. So just the problem is on Thika Superhighway itself. Jogoo Road into town, not looking so bad. Landis Road, not looking so bad. Just getting busy as you approach the retail market roundabout. Uhuru Highway, my goodness, it's actually flowing. Even Imaradaima is looking okay. The only issue you'll find is that thing that Kenha calls a roundabout under the GM bridge. All right. And then you'll find some issues as you coming out of Eastern Bypass into Embakasi, just at that roundabout near the military barracks. And then thereafter it moves okay. Westlands coming towards town is not looking bad at all. In fact, it's smooth flowing. Then we have issues of Lower Kabete Road, that's also looking okay. If you look at Ngong Road and Langata Road coming towards town, all right. And the bypasses are looking good. So in about half an hour, the story may change, I'll tell you.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
Karibu sana into the second half of Kenya's biggest conversation. This 11th day of November 2024 at 8 minutes after 7. We're broadcasting from the Standard Group Center, SpiceFM on KTN and YouTube and Facebook and X and TikTok and Radio Garden and all those places. And City, we always say there are people who watch the conversation live and then there are people who watch the conversation hours, days later. So let's say hello to those who are watching this conversation hours later.
Yes.
We appreciate the fact that you are going onto YouTube or even on TikTok or whatever, and you are catching the conversation. It's never too late, and we thank you for it. Our conversation is now going to look at what's happened over the weekend, the politics of the weekend, right? So coming towards the end of the week, Thursday, Catholic bishops did the thing. And then the same Thursday, government did the thing. And then come Saturday, they all met, government and bishops.
And they did the thing.
In Embu. They did the thing. Yesterday in church, again, politicians were doing the thing. Newly, freshly minted opposition leader, Rigathi Gachagua, said whatever he was saying. It's here. It's a headline in the Standard. Gachagua is asking,
Sasa.
Is life better now that I've been pitched?
Okay. Gachagua ndiye alikuwa anapandisha unga. Gachagua hayuko. Sasa.
Sasa. Aya. All those things that I said. The former opposition leader Raila Odinga, who's now he's no longer the party leader of ODM, surely. So he's asking questions about CDF. MPs have apparently formed a committee to protect CDF. All those things. That's what we want to have a conversation with Professor Gitila Naintuli, who is an ex-commissioner at the National Cohesion and Integration Commission. Prof, good morning.
Morning.
How are you?
Good.
Very good. Karibu sana. It's good to have you here. And then we're also joined by lawyer Ochieng Dudley. He is a partner at Bond Advocates. Hey. Bond Advocates. Okay. Hey. Good morning.
Morning, Latiff.
Good to have you here as well.
Yeah.
Karibu sana. So the two of you, I have a message for you from Stanbic Bank. You know Stanbic?
Yes.
Very good. Now, Stanbic is not just like a small bank. Stanbic is a big bank. And especially when it comes to private banking, which is talking to the two of you, partner at Bond Advocates and former commissioner, professor, lecturer. You people are the ones who need private banking. Because private banking for you is one-on-one personalized service, right? Stanbic Bank has been voted by Global Finance as the best bank in private banking.
That's good.
Okay, and it's not the first time they have been winning these accolades. It has become normal. In fact, they're like a private bank. Yeah, we know. Just bring the award. They know it, and they say the private banking service is designed for those who seek more than just transaction. It's for individuals who desire seamless financial solutions that elevate every aspect of your life. Stanbic Bank is more than banking. It's about building a legacy, right?
Well,
the kind of service that you get from them is about building a legacy.
Congratulations to them.
Very good. So they are saying, come Dudley, let's talk. When you go there, you'll find people who are trained on matters of financial planning and financial advisors. You can ask them. You say you're trained, let me see. They'll show you certificates.
Okay.
It's not just maneno ati mudomo tu. No, they don't just do mudomo. So talk to Stanbic Bank today.
Okay.
City will welcome you with the day's proverb. The last week he was in Kenya. This week he's moved into another country. City, where are we this week?
We are in the Republic of Burundi. Now, we are actually in the region of sub-Saharan Africa, and we'll be here for quite a while. Okay, last week we visited the country of Kenya. This week we are visiting the proverbs in the country of Burundi. Now, the thing you need to know about Burundi, for the longest time it was a kingdom, and they had a king. But the thing about it is, their process of multi-party democracy came with very many problems. It came with a 12-year war. It had been preceded by genocide, where community members of that particular country, very many people lost their lives. And the first leader they actually had when they introduced multi-party democracy, that gentleman was assassinated 3 months after he had been sworn in. That now led the country into a civil war. There's something about that region. We were in Congo last week, DRC, they had similar problems. And they lost very many people. Over 4 million people died. So the thing about colonialism and the legacy they leave, apparently when it comes to finding ways or finding our path, we will find that we've had problems in certain countries in this region where the people who bore the brunt of it were the citizenry.
Yeah.
Okay. You might want to know who the president of that particular country is.
Burundi?
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, so I will tell you. It's called Evariste Ndayishimiye. That is the president. Then he has a vice president. The vice president is called Prosper Bazombanza. That's his name. Then they have a prime...
Prosper Bazombanza.
Yes. Let me repeat it. I'm not making up the name. That's his name. Bazombanza.
Okay.
That is his name. Then they have a prime minister called... This name, I am probably going to massacre it, but let me just say it. Gervais, Gervais, Ndirakumbuka. Okay? Now...
Akumbuki.
Tukimkumbusha atakumbuka. Theirs is what you call a unitary dominant party presidential republic.
Okay?
Now the proverb. According to the cow, God has a wet nose.
According to the cow, God has a wet nose. Prof, what's your interpretation?
That's an interesting one. According to the cow. I think that's a really good one. Except it's very hard to figure out what he's really saying here. According to the cow, God has a wet
nose.
Now, when you are trying to interpret a proverb, you have to look the lesson in the proverb. And it's hard to figure out that lesson if you don't know the circumstances under which the proverb emerges. So that proverb emerges in an interesting situation there in Burundi, Rwanda. It's the same thing, what he went through, why that place is unstable. It's the instability in Burundi and Rwanda is different from the instability in the Congo. The Congo is about the Mzungu trying to extract the resources there, so they must keep those people busy fighting. Now these other fellows they fell into when the Mzungu came, the kingdom was basically Tutsi dominated kingdom, both Rwanda and Burundi. And then the Mzungu came trying to bring up the Hutus in order to divide that and rule. And so the Hutus eventually took power. They didn't take it nicely. So there was massacres on both sides. Now, when you look at that, you see usually cows are associated with a lot of peace. Because cows don't have a lot of issues with anyone. So if you look at the chaotic situation where they are, maybe they're talking about the peaceful coexistence. But according to the cow, God has a wet nose.
meaning God is like them.
Meaning God is like the cow. Yeah. They're talking about peace. Because they really need it in that region. It's been extremely destabilized.
You've really tried this one, Prof.
Yeah.
Amechambua historia.
Wakili, what do you think?
I'll go by his take. Maybe the cow thinks God is like him. Because God says, made in my image. So according to the cow, God has a wet nose like the cow has.
The Dudley knows cows that read the Bible.
The worship.
Yes.
Worship. What do you think the Burundians are saying? The proverb is saying?
I'm not so sure. Perhaps I'll go by Prof's interpretation of that one. Yeah.
That there is war and so there is peace. This proverb.
It's a hard one.
No, it's a hard one. But when you look at it, anything related to the cow, not just from the perspective of us, the pastoralists.
Yes.
Like the Maasai, even in India, the cow is the highest level of evolution. You see, if you look at the Bhagavad Gita, the Indian religious text, it's about people evolving to higher levels of consciousness. So there are several of them. There is God consciousness, there is unity consciousness, there is cosmic consciousness. So, and that evolution creates a complete person, eventually a godly person. The cow is the highest expression of the level of development in existence. It's very peaceful. I mean, maybe they're the ones they train to fight and so on, the bulls and all that. But basically, the cow is the real expression of peace and therefore the real expression of God. So,
Prof, from just looking at the last 1 week, right?
Yes.
Let's just say the last 10 days in the country, and what has been said. So we have, on the same day, for example, on Thursday, the Catholic bishops issue a statement in which they list a number of issues that they say that these issues require serious conversations. As that is going on, President Ruto is chairing a cabinet meeting. And in that cabinet meeting, they are looking at statistics and data from government agencies. And those statistics are actually showing things are looking much better. Inflation has gone back to 2008. If you look at the kind of harvest that we've had in the country, our silos are full. In fact, our sugar right now, we don't need to import sugar.
For the first time in a long time.
Yeah. If you look at our interest rates are coming down, our currency has stabilized, and so on and so forth. We have rolled out, according to the government, successfully, just save for a few hitches here and there, a very new, robust and equitable system of treating the people. That's one. And then the Catholic Church is saying the other thing. And there was an issue there. What do you read of that?
Well, first, you just wonder what the kind of economy surrounding the president.
Why?
Because, you see, inflation can go down simply because you don't have money to spend. You don't have money to buy those things. So they continue piling up both in the shamba, they continue piling up in the store. You see, if you want for example, let's say, take the unga or the sugar you said, so it was 200 shillings. Before, now it's 100. So what is happening is nobody has even that 100 to buy that sugar.
Is that what's happening?
Okay, the economy, of course, that's what's happening. If you want to know whether there's economy.
So what are they eating?
No, people are, you see, when you are not, it doesn't mean totally you are starving. It simply means you have restricted your consumption. Okay? Because the how to look doesn't look very good. I'm not sure if you need to get out of this room to know that the economy isn't good. I used to come here, and this place was full of workers. Every desk here was occupied. I'm now finding 5 people. I mean, this is a very good example. So you go to, there's this road where they buy used car parts. You never used to find where to put your car. Now you can literally park it anywhere, and you will see it even if you are 1 kilometer, because there's no vehicles parked there. So the economic activity is extremely low, and if it is low, then things cannot be that rosy. So it is better than get honest with the people, because honesty is a value that we are trying to undermine, that we are undermining. That's why you see even the response to the Catholics was fairly violent in the beginning. I mean, there was 7 responses in different ministries, meaning that not just that we're establishing a culture which they were objecting to, culture of lie, but we are also establishing a culture of refusal to accept feeding back. Okay, because feeding back is crucial. You see, the public is the mirror through which the leaders reflect themselves. So the church, because it's the alternative leadership, is a perfect mirror now to give that feedback. But when that feedback is not appreciated, it means we are not learning. We need to appreciate the feedback from the church.
Okay.
But one caution, though, I wouldn't give them, is that the church was there before the state. You see, before the state came into existence, the church existed before. So you can go against the church, you won't win because it's so under. It has more accumulated knowledge over the years, and then it carries the moral authority, especially the Catholic Church. There's different types of churches you have to understand. In Kenya, there is the charismatic churches, which are really businesses. They are not existing for spiritual.
Pause. You need to correct that statement. If you say charismatic churches are businesses, there may be some that could be labeled as businesses, but to say they are all businesses, that may not be accurate.
Yeah, a lot of them. That's why the other day, I mean, the government wanted to tax them. We just had the president developed a gold defeat, and they withdrew and bailed and put it. It was there for taxing them because they are really businesses. I mean, this is the honest thing we need to address ourselves to. I think some of them are even called them kiosk. One of them, was it Nganga or somebody? Pastor Nganga said, I will close those kiosks because of I don't know what problem was having with them. So most of those charismatic churches are businesses.
What makes them a business?
What makes them a business is how they operate. Okay? You see, if you take the Catholic Church, for example, or the mainstream churches, if you want, those churches, they basically operate like a government. They have schools, they have hospitals, okay? They offer services that couldn't be offered by the state. Now, the other churches, what they have is very nice buildings. And they also, the one mainly used by the politicians for the purposes of accessing power. Because, the poorer people are also the more faithful they become to the priests or the pastors or the bishops. They call them bishops and all those kind of names. Now, those charismatic fellows are actually a danger to Kenya. If you ask me.
We will have that discussion at a later date. Dad, you want to say something?
Yeah, before we move too far away from the church as a moral compass, about 2 months ago, the Chief Justice Mutunga was to appear at Kabarak with someone called Justus Mutuku for a discussion on the role of church and politics in Kenya. And I wondered on my ex whether the church had become a peeping Tom, looking at happenings through a keyhole in the wall, as someone called Arthur Koestler said. Arthur Koestler was one of those absurdists. We heard about the absurdists recently when Gachagua told Parliament that it had become the theatre of the absurd. The right of Bennett, Kina Bennett, the one who said waiting for Godot. And now, I think that the church has shown that it's not really a peeping Tom. It's just been observing, and now its patience has run out. It's gone out of patience. And Prof. Naituli is right that the church can tell what's happening. Why? Because, for example, these churches run a lot of mission hospitals. I was born in one myself, not run by the Catholic Church, but by a different church, and went to one my entire life growing up in the place where I grew up. And so these churches know when Shisho is not working. You know, they know when the sham is shamming. They know when children are not accessing education. Why? Because they conduct fundraisers for these children, because the churches themselves run a lot of schools, and they know when things are not going the right way. Maybe that's why the government got so alarmed, and we saw the flurry of statements. I think the government ilikuwa imekuwa kadi. It was ready to move the narrative. Yes. And then the church comes and says, no. We need to stop this culture of lies that you are selling to the people. Things are hard on the ground. We are burying the people who die from this scam weekly. We can see the way our hospitals are because of this issue of shift sham and that kind of thing. And so the church knows what's happening, and it's the pulse. And I think that the Ruto, for example, knows the power of the church, is ridden on it to power, and is now gone back to a strategy that he loves so much, the strategy of co-option. You know, the church speaks on Thursday, and on Saturday, was it Saturday?
On Friday.
On Friday.
He's at a graduation.
Yes.
At Tangaza University, which is run by
the Catholic Church.
All right. On Saturday, he's in Embu for the consecration of a bishop who is
a Catholic
bishop. On Sunday, he is in church at a Catholic church.
Kayole. and just a moment, while he's there,
right,
in Kayole, he does something he loves. 5 million, or was it 3 million?
He donated
for the father's house,
and the church accepted.
And then he gives 300 for building, I think, a children's home that the church runs, co-option. And I was at a media station about a week ago, and I said that maybe that is what had happened. The church had been co-opted, because co-option is a strategy that Ruto loves and he thrives on. A week after elections, he buys majority by incorporating the members of UDM who had belonged to Azimio. That's how he gets majority in the Houses of Parliament, and which he has used to pass some of the unpopular policies. So co-option. And I wonder if the church is going to return this 3 million envelope. Would you return it if it were you, Latiff?
They took it. They'd have said no to it yesterday.
Yeah.
Right there on the spot.
For me, the president's friends is actually the church, which is telling him his blind corner, which is telling him what he is not seeing. His friends are not those people lambasting the church. His friends is not himself, if he can't see the advice the church is giving. Because what happens is that, you see, the church lives with us. My friend is saying here, the people who can't get the dialysis, the church is burying them on a daily basis. The children who can't go to school, the church knows that. The families that are not able to feed themselves because of the economic downturn, the church knows that, because the church lives in the villages. So the president should have been extremely happy about the statement, should have grabbed it and corrected the things that they pointed out.
Do you think he grabbed it? Do you think look at how he forget about the immediate Thursday response by the various ministries. Let's look at the president himself. When he appeared at the Tangaza University, Tangaza College graduation, how he spoke. He said, as you are correcting me, just also be cautious not to go and give false reports.
No, it's
as you may fall,
Yeah.
you know, into that same category that you're accusing me of falling in. All right.
Yeah.
And then on Saturday, he says, I received this message from the church, so we have this understanding, and maybe I'll finish the week with by going to again church so that we can have a conversation. The president, did not blow up this whole issue. He said, yeah, we hear you. But at the same time, we were seeking to explain, saying this is what we've done on health, this is what we've done on housing, this is what we are doing on education, this and the other. The matters that the church was raising, he was attempting to respond in that crowd. So, like Dudley saying, he's getting in there and, you know, being very nice and jovial. And yeah, I hear what you're saying.
Let me tell you this. Whatever you have done something successfully, you have absolutely no need to explain it. It will explain itself. Every time you feel that you have to explain something, know that you have not done it properly. It's not successful. Okay? So, I think I listened to him in Tangasa. At the Tangasa, he had not really gotten the message, but I think he later did. Because at Tangasa, he also accused them of not
being factual.
Proper education even. And you know, the most educated Kenyans we have is those Catholic fellows. They are extremely educated. They go to school properly. You see, for them, what they do is a calling. You take like Muheria, for example. He has a degree in structural engineering from University of Nairobi. So he's just not a priest, but he's a thoroughly educated Kenyan. But because they have a special calling, then they become clergy. Now, if you try now to think, that's what I'm saying, it's very hard to compare the charismatic churches with the established one. Is the charismatic ones usually education is shallow. Okay? These are just very nice, very clever Kenyans who designed that they can make a living by starting the church. And then they train themselves, or they are trained somewhere. But the other fellows to qualify to preach the Methodist Church, the Catholic Church, you have to go to school properly, a proper school.
Prof, what I took exception to is not the reality of what you're saying, if we were to segment it, but a generalization. That is what I took exception to. Because some of these charismatic churches that you refer to have people who are just as educated as the ones you refer to.
Yeah, some of
and
them
they're just
too.
as structured.
Yeah.
Then they're the briefcase
That
pocket
is
ones.
why the government is calling for regulation.
Yes.
Because, I mean, you get some fellow like the Shakaola guy. How much education do you think that man has? What is his name? There's a man of the Shakaola.
It's called Mackenzie.
How much education do you think Mackenzie has? But he has followers, he has people. So you can go and get them. I know some of them, the bishops. I know a lot of, some of them are even governors, those fellows, because you know, you can get this power through the church, because if you have several of them post, what you are correct, it's not all of them.
No, it is
but
not.
the majority of them. That is why Rwanda,
a good number of them.
That is why Rwanda is insistent.
And if you say majority, Prof, I'm going to ask you to give figures.
Yes.
So let's say a good number of them are that way inclined.
That's good English.
Yes.
I accept that.
Let's take a break then. That's 26 minutes to 8. Our guest this morning, Ochieng Dudley, is a lawyer, and Professor Kitila Naichuli is a former commissioner with the National Cohesion and Integration Commission. We're looking at the politics and governance in the country for the past 1 week. We've been talking about Stanbic Bank. Stanbic voted number 1, Kenya's number 1 bank in private banking. Bank easily means experience seamless and personalized banking. Live joyfully means experience life's finest moments with curated offers and privileges in dining, shopping, travel, accommodation, all tailored to you and your family's lifestyle preferences. We talk about invest skillfully. That means that we support your financial growth, offering a range of carefully curated investment solutions. Plan wisely means your well-being and that of your loved one is our top priority. Now, if you're thinking about all those things and you need banking that's just beyond putting money and withdrawing money and being called and being told, oh, you took a loan and you have not repaid, and you're thinking that you want someone who will to walk the journey with you, think Stanbic Bank.
Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
ya St. and Church chini ya Pastor Evangelist Ezekiel inakutangazia ibada kubwa ya meza ya Bwana.
Tunapokutana kwa mwili wa Yesu na damu ya Yesu, tunapeana chakula kwa yule mtu wa ndani.
Baraka za kufunga mwaka 2024, kupokea nyota, uponyaji, unabii pamoja na kufunguliwa kabisa. Ibada hii itafanyika tarehe 4 hadi tarehe 15 mwezi wa 12 2024. Mahali ni Mavueni, Mombasa nchini Kenya. Watu wa dini zote, watu wa mataifa yote mnakaribishwa.
The weather with SpiceFM.
All right, let's see what's happening in the countrywide. It's a mostly sunny day in Nairobi today, highs of 16 right now, highs of 24 later today, and sunny in Kakamega with highs of 30. A cloudy day in Mombasa currently at 27, highs of 32. Sunny day in Malindi, highs of 32 as well. Kisumu sunny at 20, currently highs of 30. It's currently 14 and sunny in Nakuru, highs of 26. Presently 14 and sunny in Nyeri, highs of 25. In Eldoret, mostly sunny, highs of 24. In Kampala, it's a clear skies, mostly sunny day at 27 as the highs. Heavy rain in Kinshasa, highs of 31. Mostly sunny in Johannesburg, highs of 28. Mostly clear in Lagos, highs of 32. Sunny day in Mogadishu, highs of 32. Sunny day in Addis Ababa, highs of 23. Sunny in Dar es Salaam, highs of 32. Paris is cloudy, highs of 11. London, light rains, highs of 8. New York, partly cloudy night, highs of 18 later. And it's partly sunny in Beijing. It's the hottest it's going to be today at 7. Then the temperatures will now start dropping and go all the way down to 0 degrees.
Chilled Spice.
So I'm looking at the interchange between Outer Ring Road and the North Airport Road, and that has already started doing the thing that it normally does. So that means that North Airport Road coming from Embakasi towards Mombasa Road is busy, and that interchange as well at Feather Estate into the Outer Ring Junction is also busy. Eastern Bypass as you come to the roundabout, the military barracks is also quite busy. Mombasa Road is not looking so bad. In fact, Mombasa Road is not bad at all if you just compare with how Mombasa Road normally gets at such an hour of the morning. Langata Road is also not looking so bad. It only gets busy at the Southern Bypass interchange around there, but then it moves. And then you get a bit of traffic at Aerodrome Road getting into Bunyala roundabout. From there, it is all right. In Thika Superhighway is stretching all the way to the Outer Ring Road junction at GSU, and then Kiambu Road is stretching all the way to the DCI headquarters coming towards town. Limuru Road is only busy around Karura Forest heading out and coming in towards town and heading out towards Gigiri. Lower Kabete Road is starting to pile up now, and that is at the interchange, around the areas of Ngesha Road and coming towards the Red Hill Link Road junction. And then James Geshoro Road is also now looking quite busy into and out of ABC Place. Westlands heading towards town. It gets busy into Ring Road Parklands and that junction there at the mall. You know why?
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right.
So 21 minutes to 8, our conversation continues with Wakili Dudley Ochiel and Professor Naitule. What do you think, Dudley, is the actual situation on the ground? Because when people heard the dispatch from the cabinet saying, we have the focus by government was to see how we can stabilize. And the government seemed to have been announcing, and remember, we are coming now into the week where the president is about to now do what is constitutionally mandated to do, give a State of the Nation address to Parliament. That basically just tells us what the president is going to tell Parliament, that we have stabilized the economy, the shilling is now stable, the price of commodities has come down, we have had a bumper harvest because of the interventions by government of fertilizer at the farms. We now are looking at a situation where inflation has come down. We are looking at a situation where the bottom is now feeling the impact of a government that is working for them. Do you argue with any of those points?
Well, is it the alligator that they say if the alligator comes out of the water and tells you that the crocodile is unwell, how would you argue with the alligator who lives in the water.
Exactly.
And you don't. So for me, if I were to choose between the lying regime and the church, I would choose the church's position. We've just said that the church understands what's happening. The church is on the ground. The church feeds those who cannot feed themselves. When the flooding happened and people were left to their own devices, the church was out there running relief services in a small scale and doing humanitarian work. I believe what the church is saying, that people are having a difficult time. I believe what the church is saying, that they know families that are yet to find their loved ones. I believe what the church is saying too, that they know families whose people are still being abducted until now, until today, until this morning, last night. So I think the church is correct that things are tough and are yet to get better. I disbelieve the government propaganda machinery that things are better and have improved.
Because are those two mutually exclusive?
I think
is it possible that both of them are correct? That the church is correct in terms of the impact, right? But the government could also be correct in terms of the situation. Is it possible? Is it possible that the government... Are we saying that the shilling is not 129? Are we saying that the price of maize flour has not dropped? You could argue that, it's because people don't have money. But has it dropped or not?
Latiff, on maize flour...
Are we saying that we don't have X number of bags of 50 kilogram bags of maize in the granaries? Are we saying that we have not had a bumper sugar harvest? Are we disputing any of those things?
Well, there's a message they sent out of a Black November sale. Maize, I think the maize flour was going for 93 shillings in some supermarket somewhere. And they quickly posted it and said, oh, look, maize flour is now retailing at 93. And I saw KOT saying that, that's a Black November sale. That's an offer. That's what the correct price of maize flour. At least that I can speak to. But on the others, I choose to believe what the church is saying.
I tell you, if the economy is doing well, it's very easy to know. By the number of new businesses starting, by the number of people borrowing money from the banks, either to expand or to start enterprises. There are those the number of employment being created per month, because these are easy statistics to establish. So when the economy is stabilizing, it's very easy. Now, the dollar is not a good measure. I mean, the shilling being 129 is not a good measure of economic stabilization, because you see the dollar, the shilling, the strength of shilling is backed by the reserves, by the foreign currency reserves, because we don't use the gold standard now. That we owned. So when you borrow money and they come in the foreign reserve like in dollars, and there is a certain level like threshold in terms of export-import cover. So if it moved from 6 months to 1 year because of borrowing the money, the shilling will definitely they will be strengthened. Because there is sufficient foreign reserve. But that doesn't mean the shilling has actually stabilized, because eventually you will get that money out in order to pay those debts. So the microeconomic stability you want to seek is economic production. How much did we export? This is where you want to go and see whether we are moving or whether we are standing. How much do we export? How much do we manufacture?
How much do we earn?
Yes, how much have we earned? Okay, but you can't measure by the shilling being 129, because that's just temporary relief. It's going to go back to where it was the moment you start hemorrhaging your money. So the economic expansion in generally can inform us that the economy is doing well. You see, there's one thing this government has not done. It has not created hope sufficient enough to move people into the direction of investing. Because you see, economy is built by a general belief that tomorrow will be better than today, so that I can remove the money which is somewhere in order to put it for production, to put it into production. You see what happened during the Kibaki era. Within 6 months, the interest rate had gone so low that with the 40,000 you could borrow money and start building a house, because you know that it's going to continue going down, that it will not stabilize. You can plan, you can predict and plan. So problem here is that no one can predict this, because the tax regime itself is unpredictable. You see, you need to have a stable tax regime that is predictable. So what we have done here, we have increased the cost of doing business. So you can't tell me economy is doing well, but the 4 years he's firing what was that 400 or whatever people. And then, so you can't tell me economy is doing well. When I drive in industry area, I see so much empty space. When I used to see activities, full of activities, okay? You can't say it's doing well, because when I go to neighbors, the lines you used to see in the weekend, they were long. Now you go and see 10, 20 people. So we needed to see it. We don't want to be told. You see, this is the problem. You know, the interesting thing, I want you to go back to Kibaki days. Kibaki never explained a single thing that they have done this, but people saw it. So what we want is to see. And if I think the state and government thinks that they can convince us, we are not angry because we feel it. We feel we feel angry because we have not eaten. That is not going to be possible. You see, there is something I think our leaders need to understand. There's a huge change. What is happening now and what happened in the 70s, 80s, and 90s is totally different. The information is available now to everyone. So it's actually not possible to mislead. But I think the collective consciousness of the public has gone higher than the consciousness of the leaders. So they are still not catching up with the public. The public, if you call it the collective consciousness, the collective intelligence. You see, there is what we call in governance, the unseen governor. That is the collective consciousness of individuals. Just like we say forest is made of single trees. So the national collective consciousness is made of consciousness of individuals. That has risen clearly, because now people know what they want. So you can't convince them that they have it, because they know they don't have it.
Actually, the people have gone a step further. You see, I am of the view that people have known what they want, but we have a culture where, one, we do not speak back to authority or those we consider to be in leadership, and for the longest time, now the difference we are speaking.
Exactly.
Yes. And the very thing that people have thought and felt is now being heard.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's being heard loudly. It was heard loudest from the 25th of June. Our children spoke loudly.
Yeah.
Now the church has spoken loudly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And speaking about speaking city, yesterday I think I saw David Lee saying the economy is doing well. It's doing well. It's strong. Like Latiff is saying, the economy is okay. And then, yes, the economic advisor to the president. And then I saw a KOT, and I think she's a journalist as well, Miss Beatrice Marshall, who's also a farmer, saying that, look here, things are tough. I've reduced my workers, my dairy farm workers, from 10 to 4. I've also, from 4 to 1. I've fired 3 of them. I've left 1 on my farm. I've also reduced my cows to under 10. What does that mean? That means I buy less dairy meal, I buy less salt, and I use the services of a vet less, and things like that.
And also, there are not enough people to buy my milk.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
the milk I'm producing also obviously reduces.
Yes.
And then David Lee said, you're just a poor farmer. But then, how many of these poor farmers do we have around the country?
This is clever quips of David D's are going to catch up with him.
No, they will, because you see, any Kenyan, anybody who has taken economics 101, you know that the easiest way to figure out an economy that is picking up is to look at the tax regime. Because you see, economy is two sides. It's production and consumption. Without consumption, there is no production. And what does it mean? That means you must have sufficient disposable income in the population to be able to consume. Now, David D's advice to the president is tax after another tax. I don't know which school David D went, because you don't need to have gone to have a PhD in economics to know that when economy is in recession, because this one is not just in recession but stagflation, it's both inflation and stagnation, you need to lower taxes so that the people have money to consume. You also need to increase in government projects. Housing is one of them. That one is a good one if it's done properly, because it will help put money in people's pocket if they're employed. Because you see, in government investment, there's something they call supply side economics, where in a recession, the government is starting building roads.
Essentially, the government pumps money into the economy.
Exactly.
That's what the government
They pump money into the economy, so that now people can consume, and that can spur production.
Yes.
Okay? So, this in D economics, I think the president needs some other devices.
Dudley, you were saying something.
Yeah. So, and then every day you see someone saying, nimefikiwa in what way? No, my business is not booming. I've closed it down. Small businesses closing down all the time. When you look at Twitter, where Kenyans share every minute of their lives. So I don't think that the economy is doing better as the government wants to portray. I think that the government is upping its communication, trying to gain back the narrative from the church, from active citizens who are saying that things are on a downward spiral. And I think that the government does not care. I think it cares about winning the next elections, and that's what it's getting ready for. So some of these things we are seeing.
What makes you say they don't care?
They don't care.
Care about what?
Because David Ndie as well has also told you that we don't care about those people who will campaign for us. You remember when people are saying we can use the CS money to build schools, to build roads? He said that schools and roads will not campaign for us. This CS will campaign for us. So we are putting money on people who will campaign for us. That's a message of we do not.
That?
Yeah, he said
CAS says.
He said it, right?
For the CAS.
Yes.
Okay.
He said that we need the CS to campaign for us. We don't need roads and schools to campaign for us. So I think that the government does not care.
I don't think these people guided the
Dr. Ndie doesn't rub you nicely, does he? Dudley?
But was it here where someone was saying that
you know you can block him?
Block who?
For your own peace of mind. For mental health.
Yes. This one.
And I have no issue with it.
Whenever these comments appear on your timeline, you're like,
this is someone in the public policy space, if he communicates the mind of government, he's our economic advisor, senior economic advisor, so that the views he expresses are not his personal views, they're the views of the government. That's the government's stand on the economy. Poor farmers here and there, Anyway, I was saying that things are not better because if they were better, as Naituli says, you'd know. You can tell.
You can feel it.
You can feel it.
There's a narrative that you have alluded to right now, that the advice the president gets, I hear it all the time. Every regime, there's always this narrative of people who advise the president. Who selects these advisors?
The president.
Yes. Are you telling me he selects people when they are one thing, and then when they take the positions, they become another thing? Or is it that we didn't know what they were to begin with?
I think what's happened is the part of it is the culture we have developed of psychophancy. Trying to, when the president offers me an opportunity to advise him, then I try to see which direction is he thinking, so that I can advise him in that direction, because I don't expect him to accept an honest advice. Okay? Now that has sunk into our society, and it's not a good thing. What you need when you see the president is in charge of, it's a big thing. The country is big, so he has so many things in his mind. You have to be I wouldn't say even brave enough. Maybe courage is a better one to tell the president when something is not working and why it is not working. Okay, but because we assume the president will not accept the feedback.
So we don't give him.
The
proper feedback.
But we don't give him proper feedback.
So very many presidents. We heard this of Uhuru as well. I don't have evidence to support it, but we hear
even
it.
Kibaki, people talked about the Mount Kenya mafia telling Kibaki the wrong thing.
We always hear it.
Well, yes, but there's a difference between Uhuru and Kibaki. Uhuru was not a performer. Let's just face it. Okay.
Yeah, those who argue differently.
In fact, no, they're arguing differently when they compare now with what we have. But
that's the whole point. We are comparing Ruto with Kibaki. We always compare. In fact, the only reason why
aren't we comparing Ruto
Kibaki,
with Uhuru?
Huh? It's the same thing.
No,
it's just a continuation of the same thing.
You see what we're having is...
What's there to compare?
Exactly what we're having now is just jubilee.
It's like, how much damage did this person do within the first term? Okay, let's compare. How much damage has this person done?
Yes.
But we forget that governments are a continuum. You see, I am slow to blame the president, very slow. Why I'm slow to blame the president is because what Kibaki left is not what Uhuru left.
No.
As a government, Uhuru inherited something that functioned.
Yeah.
What he left was not functioning.
Exactly.
So, we could argue that President Ruto inherited something which was not functioning. Now, how much more he contributed to the dysfunctionality, now that's a different discussion. Okay? Now, as for advisors and people who are supposed to help the president think, I think the president is the one who guides people as to whether he will listen or not.
Exactly. I mean, now you have gotten back to what is really...
Yes.
That is absolutely
If there's a president who takes in advice, it is not difficult to tell.
Yeah. Yes. There's when you're training managers, there's one thing we tell them. One trap to avoid when you are CEO. Avoid being the most intelligent person in that room.
Yes.
Okay? You simply avoid that. No, what does that mean? That means you need to get your advisors more clever than you. It also means you are the last person to speak on any issue. Okay? You allow them to tell you. And when they are finished, no, you may not even have to contribute that day. You go out there and check with some other people who are not in the kitchen, who are not feeling the heat.
Yeah.
And you ask them, what do you think about it? Now, when you are clear, is when now you can come and guide.
And guide and say what happens.
Yes, so what we have developed here, other than, I didn't work in the Kibaki era, but the way he surrounded himself with who says, anasema mahali kuna wasai kuharibiki jambo. He was able to remove the economy from a very bad situation and brought it quickly to something that now he could give to Uhuru Kenyatta. Okay? Now, where we are in negative growth when he gave 202 when he took it over. And that's why I'm saying that why Mount Kenya region, for example, basically rejected Uhuru Kenyatta, because the Indians, was because when they expected him to do better than Kibaki. And that's why we have to stop hyping this idea of the youth. Kibaki himself called them the dynamic duo. But that dynamic duo demolished the Kibaki's economy in the first
Prof, time is up. Thank you very much for joining us, Professor Gichile Naitule, who is a former commissioner with the National Cohesion and Integration Commission, Ochiel Dudley, who's an advocate. Asante Nisana for joining us. Keep it here for more conversations. Mata Karua comes in next with her book Against the Tide. It's 8 a.m.
Sugar
Spice up your life.
Good morning, this is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. The rate of infant mortality in the country dropped with a dip linked to interventions focusing on mother and child care. Speaking during the commemoration of the World Prematurity Day, Spouse to Prime Cabinet Secretary Tessie Mudavadi called for the need to have like-minded stakeholders help bring the numbers further down. At least 1,600 children are born prematurely each year in Kilifi County alone. Lamu Governor Issa Timami, who was in attendance, pushed stakeholders in the health sector to the need to sensitize citizens on well-being. Students in public universities across the country are grappling with the unprecedented academic crisis, from a standoff over the new funding model to prolonged industrial action by lecturers. Thousands of students have been left in limbo, with learning activities grinding to a halt. According to student leaders under the Elimu Bora Working Group, the disruption has caused immense mental anguish, leaving many students uncertain about completing their coursework or sitting for exams on time. Graduation plans for some students have also been thrown into disarray. And passenger service vehicle operators have been urged to put in place measures that will go a long way in addressing road accidents as we approach the festive season. Speaking in Kisumu, NTSA officer Nyanza Region Isaac Silali urged the public to work together with the authority and other government agencies in ensuring that the roads are safe.
Don't drink and drive as we go throughout the safety season, and then we need to use the safety belts. Passengers need to ensure that they take safety belts. In collaboration with the National Police Service, we shall continue to do the compliance checks so that we are able to ascertain that the PSVs and the heavy commercial vehicle speed governors are working. That one we normally do and will continue to do. And then we will engage the citizenry and the public much more through road safety campaigns.
He added that NTSA is working on proposals for all the counties in order to address road accidents.
Identify the black spots. What we are doing at the moment is operationalization of the recommendations of the CTSE committees, which are county specific. For example, the main black spot, that one of the Coptic Mamboleo roundabout, working with the Kenha, we have already seen there is increased of rubble strips. We have also worked with the Kenha to have the danger signs, the signages erected and clear, which is now in place.
Internationally, and at least 13 people died when a building collapsed in Tanzania's commercial capital Dar es Salaam, and more than 80 people have been rescued. This is according to the country's president, Samia Suluhu. The four-story building in eastern Dar es Salaam's Kariakoo market came down Saturday at around 9 a.m. Now, in an address, President Samia Suluhu Hassan said more than 8 people were rescued and rushed to hospitals. 26 of them were still hospitalized. She said the government would cover treatment costs and help with the burial arrangements.
Kipaumbele chetu kilikuwa ni kuokoa wananchi wenzetu kwanza. Baada ya zoezi hili kukamilika, namtaka waziri mkuu aongoze timu ya wakaguzi majengo waendelee na zoezi la kukagua eneo lote la Kariakoo na tupate taarifa kamili ya hali ya majengo ya Kariakoo ilivyo. Kwa upande mwingine, jeshi la polisi nalo lipate taarifa kamili kwa mmiliki wa jengo lililoporomoka jinsi ya ujenzi ulivyokuwa ukifanyika.
Now, Senegal headed to the polls Sunday to vote in a legislative election that the president hopes will give his party the clear majority it needs to implement an ambitious agenda for reforms. The heated campaign period has revived concerns about unrest as political rivals clash sometimes violently. The West African nation saw some of the worst political violence in recent history ahead of the presidential elections. In March, voting in his hometown of India, Ganiao, President Bassirou Diomaye Faye urged the electorate to remain calm no matter the outcome. This is Newswire. I'm Dennis Aseto. Good morning.
.5 Spice FM, Kisumu.
If a lion shows you its teeth, it doesn't mean it likes you.
It doesn't mean it likes you. It won't start. A liar calls as witness one who is either dead or far away. Say it in Kiswahili.
Ben low, nin inte, nin there, you markati kadikta. You know this character called liar. He has disturbed people. So when you tell him who are your witnesses, he will take you to a place where it is difficult to verify.
For someone like me who sweats a lot, I cannot survive there. Sweating is biblical. Good. And you must blame it on Adam, not me. Because Adam messed up and he was told, "No, you fellow, you, by the sweat of your brow, thou shalt eat."
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
All right, so how's it looking like? Okay, on the expressway, at the entrance to the expressway, this is at the junction with Muga Green, Wayaki Way, starts getting very busy, heading towards the ABC place, and not ABC place, but the mall in Westlands, so that's quite busy. Ring Road Westlands as well is also very busy around there. You will find a bit of traffic as well on Lower Kabete Road coming towards town, but it's not so bad this morning. You'll find it actually very bad as you approach Ngesha Junction, coming out of Ngesha, heading towards town, a bit busy. Also, Red Hill Link Road is quite busy as you approach ABC Place. That tells you that also James Geshoro out of ABC Place is quite busy. That leads us now to Limuru Road, which was busy around Karura and the junction in Muthaiga Road. That's not so bad. But now when you go to the UN Avenue, that area around on Limuru Road, it gets quite busy. So just be patient. Thika Superhighway and Kiambu Road. The less said, the better. Kiambu Road, just be patient. Thika Superhighway, just be patient. As you're getting towards town from Langata Road, you will not find much traffic. But then when you get to Wilson Airport, you will find a bit of traffic heading towards T-Mall Junction, where Raila Odinga Way is all right. And Aerodrome Road is then busy, then getting towards the junction with the Bunyala roundabout. After that, just be patient.
This is The Situation Room, the home of hard-hitting political commentary and penetrating insights about the state of the nation. This is a talk radio experience like no other. The Situation Room, a place for hard truths, debates, and elevated conversations. The Situation Room, witty, political, engaging, deep, controversial. In the room, we have C.T. Muga, researcher, academic, seasoned political observer, a fountain of wisdom in these politically uncertain times. Ndu Okoh, Nigerian by birth, Kenyan by choice, communications expert, Pan-Africanist, a truth seeker and believer in people power, and Eric Latiff, agent provocateur, the man in the chair, seasoned journalist, news hound, a man who believes in punching up, not down. This is The Situation.
After 8, thank you very much for keeping it locked. This is Kenya's biggest conversation, The Situation Room. We appreciate that you choose this as a way to start your day every weekday morning. Asante sana. And we're talking to those who are conscious about private banking, and Standard Bank is telling you we are the best when it comes to private banking. So make sure that you talk to Standard Bank. They'll tell you how to live joyfully, how to bank easily, how to invest skillfully, and how to then be with them. We shall be giving out 25,000 shillings into an account of one Standard Bank account holder at the end of this week. Just make sure that you keep it locked. Imagine having a world-class banker who truly gets you and knows what you're working towards. You need to meet your dedicated private banker, ready to guide you every step of the way. Talk to Standard Bank. City? Si hapo ni kweli?
Ni kweli kabisa. You know, one of the things that perhaps people may not appreciate is that when you think finances and you think financial problems, there are people who can actually help you out of those situations. They understand finances, they understand money. Why? Because that has been their business for the longest time. So they do know.
Yes.
But you need to take the time to talk to them.
Yes.
So that they can help you.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So for the next hour, our conversation is going to be Against the Tide. And that's the title of the book by Martha Karua, the now Kenya party leader, launched the book yesterday. A colorful ceremony. So you said it was a colorful, well-organized ceremony, right?
My friend, I have attended book launches. That one took the cup.
This one?
It was well-organized. Martha, I learned something. If I ever write a book, my friends are not coming to talk about me.
Do not bring your books, your friends, to talk about you.
They might give more than you intended to.
Yeah. There were several conversations on that book launch yesterday, and there are some panel discussions. And the first panel discussion had Martha's secondary school headmaster, then had high school classmates,
yes,
the head girl and the prefect, who said things.
Oh, they said, I said, wait, this one.
What a choma.
The only thing then that sort of like mollified the whole situation, they said, some of these activities that people got involved in, Martha never. In fact, Martha is the person we could rely on to go out with and who'd shepherd us back. Now, I don't have that safety net.
So you cannot allow. Martha, good to see you.
Nice to see you all, and thank you for honoring me.
Thank you for inviting us.
Yes, thank you for inviting us. It was a good one.
emceeing.
No, that was me, right?
Yeah. It was great.
No, I like the emceeing, especially the part where he said, my co-host, so-and-so is actually here. Yes, could he stand up and wave? I said, yes, it's very good. But the beauty of it was the diversity of people I saw there.
Yeah.
I saw people I haven't heard or seen in a long time from.
Yeah.
I met very, very young people. I met a cross-section of what you could call the Kenyan society. Now that for me was wonderful.
Yeah.
Because from where I was sitting, I got to talk more or less with this same grouping of people that I'm talking about. People would come and sit next to me and talk and want to say this. But you see, that wouldn't have been possible if there had been no book launch.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's true.
That's true. All of us together.
It did. It did.
A cross-section of people.
It did.
The book Against the Tide is your journey on a less trodden path. That's what you say, right? And it's your memoir where Martha Karua, trailblazing lawyer, human rights activist and politician, takes you through her incredible journey from a small village in Kirinyaga to the highest corridors of power. Known for her unwavering stance on justice, democracy and good governance, she shares her personal and professional struggles, triumphs and the lessons learned along the way. And you say that by sharing my story, I hope it serves as a reminder that while the path is long and often grueling, it is worth every step.
Indeed.
Karibu sana. Siti,
Asante.
welcome her with the day's proverb.
Yes, our proverbs for this week come from the Republic of Burundi. According to the cow, God has a wet nose.
I suppose it's about the rain. Because if he's up there and we are receiving his blessings of rain, he must surely have a wet nose. And that feeds us.
That's a nice way of looking at it.
I mean, I don't know how else to interpret,
It's God's wet nose that actually rains on us. What do you think they mean? What is that proverb then saying to you?
I don't know. I
According
can't.
to the cow.
This one is a bit tough.
This one is tough.
But I want to think that if God has a wet nose, that's why the cow can get its grass. That's why we can get our bounty here on earth. Yeah. He has bounty. Yeah.
Well, that's a nice one.
There's no other way I understand it.
That's a nice one. Teresa Ombito writes in caps on our YouTube channel, I am very proud of you, Mheshimiwa.
Oh, I'm humble.
Okay. And that's one thing that, let's just start with this one by just giving you your flowers. The number of people who were there, and remember we said, in fact, I was thinking later, I should have just started that thing of those who are 70 and above, raise your hand. Because there were several in that room.
Oh, yes.
Who are 70 and above.
Yes.
Starting with the keynote speaker, Professor Willie Mutunga, and others, and your teacher. They were there. And then we went into all the way to those who were 10 and below.
Yeah.
And there were 10 and belows in the house.
Yeah.
There were.
Right?
Yes.
And the person who spoke and did a very beautiful poem to welcome you
was 15 and below.
Was 15 and
14, yes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so that tells you something about what you've done. Though you may not have become president yet, there's something that you've done that you have basically passed on, and you've created a legacy. That those who are in the room from below 10 to above 70 all know Martha Karua. That's not many people who can say that. Right? So that is it. That's your flower.
I'm really honored by the presence of all those, because you may invite and people may not come the way you want.
Yes.
I was truly blessed yesterday.
Yes, indeed. So this book, you say it took you a couple of years to write the book. How many years?
I actually didn't want to reveal, but it had already been revealed, about 9. Because it's writing, shelving, beginning, all those things. And starting with a ghost writer, who did a splendid job but unable to connect. I thought it's because she was not local. So I got help from locals. I was then able to connect, but still I couldn't hear my voice. So eventually I had to sit and go through chapter by chapter. And like I said, the most strange thing is that during the Azimio demonstrations last year is when I got the inspiration. After tear gas, I would go home, sit down and write.
You had something. You had fire in your, you had smoke in your belly.
Yes. It's just funny because I don't know why, but that's the time. Maybe also we had done some time after the elections. Yeah.
You had taken a moment.
Yeah.
It has several parts. It's in 6 parts and several chapters where you start from your childhood and early childhood memories, going into your journey of life professionally and school, going into joining politics. I mean, getting into your own life,
Even getting a family.
Against the system's tide, your work professionally as an advocate, the highs and lows of government, now getting into government, the less lonely and less trodden path. And this is where now you're talking about your quest for highest office and so on, and your continued quest for change. You take us through your entire 67 years
yes, I do.
of life here in this one.
Do. Yes.
One of the interesting things was when you invited your former headmaster in your high school, Mr. Gomez, and he came there. And he was not the only one who was talking about your life in those younger days. You had also recorded a video with your family members, your siblings and your parents, who spoke about that. What do you say about the role that your close family has played in your life?
I think my close family members have been really my pillar and still are. They've been extremely supportive, and starting with my parents, patience and support. Were it not for their patience, maybe I would not have finished school, because if you keep getting sent out of school, your parents can get tired and say, you stay at home or do something else. Or maybe after Form 4, there's no need of you going on because you're getting too much trouble. But they exhibited patience, a lesson that I carry with me. And although my children didn't give me much trouble, I was ready, even if they had, because I had been shown by my dad.
That it's important to be patient.
Yes, and also look at my teacher, Mr. Gomez. Look at the teachers at Nairobi Girls School. Patience and understanding of a growing up person. And that all those helped me to be who I am today.
Why do you think you were a troublesome child?
I don't think I was troublesome. I was just inquisitive. But we lived in times where being inquisitive amounts to trouble. Being expressive, telling the teacher no, I will not be caned on my back. That was a greater offense than the noise making for which he wanted to cane me. I didn't know then. Now I know it is actually indecent to cane a female pupil on the back. Leave alone that these days even corporal punishment is outlawed completely. But those days it was accepted. But the Code of Regulations still did not allow girls to be caned on the back. I didn't know that. But I had my teacher, my father telling the teacher that I'm a teacher like you and this is totally unacceptable. If he had not been supportive, by the way, I had been asked to go and wait outside when they were arguing, but I overheard. And I knew there was a thing called the code, although the understanding of it wasn't much.
But you picked the word.
Yeah, but I really appreciate now, as an adult looking back, the trouble they went to raise me and to make me who I am. But I must tell you that Nairobi Girls was a different ball game from my previous schools. Teachers didn't have much problem with people expressing themselves. We were okay. And the only one single brush I had is that whistling, which the class teacher wanted to take as murder, but my class covered me.
Martha, why were you whistling in class?
You see, the teacher had said something to us, which was outrageous, that if you do not answer her when she calls out your name on the roll call, she can stop you from doing the A-level exams. So the whole class went like, but I was the single person who whistled.
How did you?
So...
Kujapa. Who's that?
So she now forgot the choir of she just picked the whistle. Who whistled? Nobody showed up. So she stormed out in annoyance, saying that she will not teach geography. She was also a geography teacher until the person owns up. And guess what? I was not even taking geography. So immediately she goes out, I tell my classmates, girls, I'm the one who whistled. And immediately they say, you cannot tell her now. She's so mad, you'll end up being suspended. Let the prefects negotiate. They also volunteered to negotiate. And the negotiations took 2 whole weeks before Mrs. Barrier could come down.
Where?
You know? And the school allowed that protracted period. I was so sorry, especially because I was not taking geography. And those taking geography were being punished on account of me. But it was resolved amicably. I apologized to the teacher. And I was delivered by the prefects to her house to apologize after they had negotiated a truce that all I'll be needed to do is to apologize. Yeah.
Did she tell you why she was so livid at you whistling?
No, she didn't. They had sorted out all those issues with the prefect and the headmistress. Because they were saying, look, all those who said, that was their immediate reaction. The whistle is also equivalent to the So if you're not punishing the entire class, why do you single out one person? That was the argument. Discrimination. So we were learning how to argue our cases as early as we could.
You know, you're talking about a period when Jomo Kenyatta was still president.
Yeah.
Now, many people may not understand it, but that government was authoritarian.
Totally.
Yes. Now, that sort of governance cascades down.
So you're correct.
Anybody who is in authority believes they have absolute authority and should not be questioned. Which brings me to the question, who was the headmistress? Because the headmistress was clearly somebody who understood things differently from the geography teacher.
Mrs. Mwaniki, and she's alive. In fact, if she hears this, I'll be coming to visit you soon.
So it appears that she led that school with, she did not interfere when the prefects and the teacher were negotiating.
She was part of the negotiations because the matter escalated.
Of course, it had to go to her office.
You see? So she was part of those negotiations and she guided that process and it came to an amicable settlement. I think giving time also for the teacher to come down. Yeah.
Something else that comes out here in this book is that you are a prolific dancer.
Let me say, dancing is in the genes of Africans, and this African, it is in her genes.
The secondary school principal spoke of how he'd allow the girls in the school to have time to dance.
Yeah.
Non-stop. Yes.
And you would be there, non-stop dancing.
Yeah.
Your high school mates, Professor Mitula, and they were also speaking about your time in high school, at Nairobi school,
Yeah.
where you'd still, at Nairobi Girls, where you'd still end up even going out to dance.
Yeah.
And even at the university, going out to dance.
Mm.
Dance, you, Martha?
Yeah, but high school, not much going out to dance because you don't go out.
yes.
You go out to church. But university, we really danced. Danced with it.
You
but
dancing.
we did not also neglect our studies.
You dancing?
Oh, yes.
Nightclub?
Yeah. And also parties.
Where?
Yeah. But imagine, that time we were not going to university young like they were going. We had gone up to Form 4, 2 years of maturing, because A-levels really is like maturing.
Right.
So we were responsible adults,
Yeah.
young adults, yeah.
By that time, you're already at a certain age
Yeah.
where you're like you're saying, you're a responsible young adult.
Where you can make rational decisions and take care of yourselves. I feel these days we are taking our children to university, throwing them in the deep end too early. After Form 4, they will just be about 16, 17.
Yeah.
It's too early. For us, we had 2 years of maturing, being able to look after ourselves.
In fact, what you found was we had classmates at the university who were married.
Indeed. Yeah.
Yes, people got at that age. There are young ladies who came to college already married. Some even had children even as they came to college.
And some were having in college.
Yes.
We need to look at how to handle the situation of very young people entering college. And you've seen it stand up to be a fearsome sin because sometimes we get our young ones having relationships which end up in murder. They're not many, but they're worrying. It was totally unheard of our time. Yeah.
At what point did you decide you want to become a lawyer?
I
And
think
why?
when I was in primary school, I accompanied my dad to court on a traffic matter. I don't know what he had taken me to Kirogoya to do. Then we passed by the court. I don't know what it is that I liked about the attention the magistrate was getting. And magistrates of country are called judge. Kikuyu jaji.
Judges.
So as we left the court, I'm telling my dad I want to be a judge. But not judge the way we know it today. Judge, that magistrate I saw.
You wanted to be the boss of the court.
Yes, so he told me that it's okay. He has no objection. I just have to work very hard at school. That's what I got from his response. Work hard at school. And I did that. And I ended up becoming that judge because I was a magistrate for a while. Yeah.
Was it the same thing that when you were in high school and then into university now, when you've been admitted to university to study law, was it the same drive?
Yeah.
Had you at this point now gotten to understand what law is and who a magistrate is and who a judge is?
And I still wanted a career in the judiciary. I was pursuing the dream to be that judge. And I became a magistrate straight from law school. I stayed a magistrate for 6 years. But when I started having a family, the emoluments were not sufficient for me to effectively contribute to my family. So I decided after my second contract, because I was on contract, I decided 3-year contracts. I decided not to renew, to go and set up a private practice, to be able to look after my family financially. And that's what I did. Yeah.
How hard was it?
It wasn't hard. Remember, at that time, the Law Society records, Kenya had just about slightly over 2,000 advocates, meaning those ones who are taking out practicing certificates. There could have been others, but the active ones were about 2,000. There was need for lawyers, both in government and in private practice. From the day I set up, I never lacked clients. I never lacked a steady stream, and it kept on increasing. Yeah. It's not like today. People are setting up. It's hard. There are many lawyers. Although the population has gone up, it's not as easy. Things were easier for us that time. Yeah.
In this book, you also then talk about something that people don't even talk about and know about your son and your daughter.
Yeah.
And then your grandchildren.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What was that? Because this is something that is so monumental. It actually makes you make a career decision.
Yeah.
right? Starting a family, getting a family, and bringing up your children. Tell us a bit about that.
I think the joy of motherhood or parenthood makes you forget any other hardship that is associated with this. You just want to keep going, to do the best you can for your children. And that's true of everyone, irrespective of their station in life. So I had to look at life differently. My salary was enough for me to dress me up, to accommodate me. It was without much saving. It was the bare minimum, and it was enough. By the way, for those who don't know, when I entered the judiciary as a magistrate, my salary was 3,000 shillings. After taxation, you are left with something like 26 something. I was sharing a house in Golf Course Estate. We were paying 1,200, and we would share 600 each with a friend of mine who is now a judge. I will not name her. A judge of the High Court. When I say that, it rules out
not a judge.
Other. She's not a judge, she's a judge of the High Court. And we were sharing this house in Golf Course. She was employed in private practice by an advocate. She was being paid slightly better than me, but we were sharing equally. So now when I get a family, this 2,000 does not become good enough. And because I'm not living in my own house, I'm living in my husband's house, it means I'm not getting house allowance. So the pay even dips a little bit more. So I realized I can't make ends meet, and you want an honest living. So I go out to private practice. And sure, private practice was something else. For bail application, I'm charging 5,000, which is more than my entire month's salary. Although I have expenses like the office, the staff and all that. But you see immediately that shows you there's more life somewhere else. Yeah.
How would that salary of a magistrate compare with other civil servant cadres? So, for example, teachers, police officers.
Civil service pay was bad. But I remember when I told my dad how much I was earning, his response was, "What? After all that education, I'm earning more than you as a teacher." That was his response. You see? His salary plus his house allowance, because he was getting owner-occupied house allowance, which was a phenomenon then. He had more money than me. So he couldn't understand how. Yeah, after all that
He's
education.
taken you through all that.
Yeah.
From university to Kenya School of Law to all this, and
all
then
that. So civil service pay was very bad. Not like today, when especially the higher levels of civil service are better paid than even sometimes the private sector. It shows there's something we are not quite balancing. Civil servants should be well paid so that they can do their jobs properly, but the pay should be commensurate with the
equivalence in the public service.
Yes, and
in private.
Not private sector, but also the standard of living and the wealth of the country, so that we must be able to give good services to the people as well as the better pay. The two should rise together. Quality services, especially the basic services. But when you raise civil servants' pay and state officers' pay, starting with MPs, and you leave out quality services for the people, that's an imbalance. The two have to go together. Yeah, you can't live like kings when everybody else is in misery.
That's true. 26 minutes to 9. Let's take a break. We are discussing Against the Tide, the new book by Martha Karua, which is her journey on a less trodden path. It's a memoir looking at her life from childhood into early career, into politics, into leadership, into the pursuit of the highest office in the land, and continued pursuit of justice. In the second half of this conversation, we'll talk about now your politics and governance. All right? Keep it here. We'll be back shortly. 25 minutes to 9.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.
It's critical that people pay taxes. But then taxation has to have a limit. When you start overtaxing people beyond certain limit, then this is now we call robbery with violence.
We are all struggling, but we don't show. If you're not doing well, shame on you. But you have to say, I'm broke and I'm struggling. We are not okay until everybody is okay.
We are pretending to have political parties. Why don't we just be honest? And we say, these are the Luyas, these are the Kambas, these are the Kikuyus, and we find ourselves in Kenya.
You know, with politics and leadership, no matter what you do, there will always be a complaint. There will always be the assumption that you're either stealing or you're not doing things right. As a leader, don't fear. If you know you're doing the right thing, you've thought about it, you've got an expert advice, do it, then understand later.
This country, we don't need prayers. Prayers is between you and God. Good governance and thinkers who care about the country and not their stomach.
That's what we need.
The Situation Room, Kenya's biggest conversation.
The weather with SpiceFM.
It's warming up in Nairobi. It's going to be a mostly sunny day. Currently 18, highs of 25. It's sunny in Kakamega, currently at 21, highs of 30. Mombasa, partly sunny at 28, highs of 33. Eldoret, sunny day at 17, highs of 24. Kisumu, 23 and sunny, highs of 30. Malindi, sunny at 29, highs of 33. Warming up as well in Nakuru, sunny at 16, highs of 26. Also sunny in Nyeri at 16, highs of 25. Kampala, mostly sunny at 22, highs of 27. Kinshasa, it's raining still at 23, highs of 31. In Johannesburg, it's sunny at 19, highs of 28. Lagos is clear skies at 25, highs of 32. Mostly sunny in Mogadishu at 29, highs of 32. Addis Ababa is sunny at 15, highs of 23. Sunny in Dar es Salaam at 25 and highs of 32. London is cloudy at 8 and highs of 8. It's actually the warmest it's going to be today. It's mostly cloudy in Paris at 7, highs of 11 and then lows of 7. It's clear skies in New York at 11, highs of 18 later. In Beijing, mostly sunny, 8 degrees, lows of 0.
Spice up your life.
So we begin with North Airport Road and the interchange with North Airport and Outer Ring Road, quite busy. Feather Estate heading out towards the North Airport Road junction is very busy. Eastern Bypass coming towards the roundabout with the military barracks is also busy, but not so bad. Mombasa Road is not looking so bad until you get to around South Sea, where it starts getting a bit busy, heading towards Nyayo Stadium roundabout, and then it clears. Aerodrome Road off Langata Road is what's busy. Langata Road itself is not looking bad at all. Jogoo Road has been all right. Now it's just getting busy at the City Stadium roundabout, and then all of Landis Road all the way into the retail market is quite busy, as well as Haile Selassie Avenue from Railways roundabout coming out towards the Uhuru Highway roundabout is also very busy. Thika Superhighway has been quite hectic this morning. It's actually improved somewhat. The traffic is now only stretching to Utalii. Kiambu Road has cleared. It was past DCI headquarters about 30 minutes ago. It's now looking much better. Ring Road Westlands heading towards the Mall Westlands is busy. James Gishuru Road has also been quite busy, and that is also affecting, of course, the Red Hill Link Road. Lower Kabete Road is busy as you come towards Kuna Road Junction. The other roads are not looking bad at all. Ngong Road just at the light, and of course, Langata Road, like I've said, has now cleared.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM, Nairobi.
Put them down in a book. The book is available in bookstores now, up for sale, and you can buy it. It's Against the Tide, the journey on a less trodden path. So you've told us what happened. You studied, you went to university, you went to Kenya School of Law, you became a magistrate, as your dream had always been to become the judge that you had seen in Kirogoya, and now you decided, hey, I'm starting a family, this is not enough, I've got to move into private practice. And you were making money, and you were doing well. Why did you decide to join politics?
I think to improve my country, we started by activism within the Law Society. I became a council member of the Law Society, and we are, holding the government to account, and especially on matters of rule of law and human rights. And I realized that, just like I had in the Law Society activism, realized that it's not enough to complain about what is not being done. It is also important to enter there and do what you think should be done. So I was seeking to be a part of the solution. And I went to Parliament and continued to practice law. It is my legal practice that supported my politics. Just like being a magistrate or judge was a poorly paid job, when I went to Parliament December of 1992, my total salary was 5,000 plus allowances.
5,000 what?
20,000.
20,000 was the salary of an MP.
The actual basic salary was 5,000. The rest were allowances, totaling now to 20,000.
This is 30 years ago.
Yes, so it is my legal practice that supported my politics. I could attend 2 Harambes in a month, giving 20,000 in each, which is double my pay. That 20,000 they were paying me was not barely enough for the house I was living in. Not to mention fueling my vehicle, educating my children, maintaining me. So it is my legal practice that anchored my politics until the pay got better. And the pay really got what you'd call better 10 years later, when Kibaki came in and when the report by the Oloaringo Committee was actualized, and pay for Parliament was improved and a Parliamentary Service Commission instituted. That is not to say that we stayed on 5,000 for the 10 years. There were improvements, and by the end of the 10th year, the salary had gone up to about 350,000. Yeah.
Something that I find interesting.
Yeah.
When you first stood, who were you standing against?
I was standing against Geoffrey Kareithi, the late Geoffrey Kareithi, my father, and he was a former head of the civil service. And we come from the same Kemunya village. So I'd seen him as I grew up. I was friends with his youngest daughter. We were in primary together before they moved over to Nairobi. Yeah.
So you were taking on a former head of the public service.
Yes.
What gave you the gumption? What gave you the courage to feel that you could actually take on? Because this was not a small person.
Listen, I was already on the national stage as a leader within the legal profession. We were already taking on the powers that be on matters of rule of law, administration of justice. I was already a household name in Kenya because of the work I was doing. I felt equal to the task. It never occurred to me that I was biting more than I could chew. And I went to campaign with all the confidence and bravery of a youth.
How many times did the people of Kisumu elect you?
4 consecutive times. And I believe, had I gone for a parliamentary seat instead of the presidency in 2012, or for any local seat, I would still have been elected. But the presidency now, they were saying that I have beaten more than I can chew.
Why?
Ask the people. I think the social growth of a nation and all that, the perception, I do not think that people now see it that way. They've tried all they can, and they've seen what is happening. So I'll give it a last shot.
Would you say that your being a woman played a part in the electorate not seeing you fit for that particular seat?
I think so. I think if I had been a man performing the way I was performing for them in Kisumu, in Parliament and nationally for Kenya, I think without saying, I would have gone places. Yeah. So there's a bit of that. But even that is for me and the next woman to shatter the glass ceiling. We've done it before, we'll do it again. Yeah.
There are those who've argued, Martha, that one of the things that probably also got in the way, that I'm going to use a term, this is my term.
Yeah.
You are unbending. That you take a position and you are reluctant to move from that position.
Indeed, on matters of principle, I am on unbending, on following the rule of law, on upholding human rights. I am unbending on fighting corruption, issues of governance. On other matters, we can sit and discuss.
In fact, those who say what I've just said, they have said, also argue that on that last note is where there's a problem, because
fighting corruption.
Yes. Because it is expected, they say, that political leadership ought to have the capacity to turn a certain blind eye to certain matters of corruption.
I have heard that you are told in quotes that business people are complaining about your stand. But I just want to put this to the nation of Kenya, to fellow citizens. We can't have our cake and eat it. We want an organized country. We've got to follow the rules we have agreed upon. And the rules of this club called Kenya are the laws of Kenya. You start by bending a little. You'll end up with the impunity that is in Kenya today. Let the law apply to everyone without fear or favor. What is holding a nation like America together? And you can see they are not also in a good place, but they have systems that work. Trump was in court. He's a convict. He's been elected, but I am seeing him presenting slightly differently than before. He knows there are consequences, and everybody does. You have seen in South Africa, Zuma, who was president, being arraigned. Following rules is very important. Those countries I have named are not perfect. But when you have a system that works, it helps to remind people that there are beacons beyond which you cannot go. Your rights end where my rights begin and where the rights of the society begins. So we need to follow the rule of law. I'm stickler for the rule of law. And when I come again to you for votes, I'll be reminding you, we need to organize ourselves, to organize this beautiful and blessed country God gave us. We have enough to even pay our debts. We have enough to provide basic services as ordered by the Constitution to everybody. Yeah. But we have to manage it and follow the rules we agree on, the laws of Kenya.
Let's get into the NAC administration, right?
Yeah.
So Kibaki comes in and there's this whole euphoria and renewed hope in the entire country. And when he names his cabinet, you are among those that he names in his cabinet. How was that, the first cabinet? Let's talk about between 2003 and 2005. How was that?
It was a pleasure and privilege to work in that cabinet. It was collegial. Cabinet meetings were open. You could offer your view. We discussed freely and agreed on matters. And President Kibaki left us to apply our best selves in the jobs he gave us. I was free to drive the reforms in the Ministry of Water, and I got his support in that. And so were other ministers. It was such a joy. When I left government, when I resigned on principle in 2008, my ministry, my work was being interfered with. There were roadblocks, and I felt that I had been given a djembe in the farm, and my hands had been tied behind my back. And I left. Yes.
So in those years,
yeah,
there was, a lot of camaraderie in cabinet in terms of everybody working together.
Yeah.
But at the same time,
Yeah.
bombers was happening.
Bombers became poison, not just for the country, but for cabinet. Because by the time we go to the referendum in 2005, the lines are drawn. There is a Kibaki faction and a Raila Odinga faction, which ended up being the No team, and the Kibaki team, the Yes team. So again, that now became those difficulties came to cabinet but were not that noticeable. And when the referendum failed, Kibaki sacked the entire government and returned those of us who were on his side and dropped completely Raila Odinga and his team. Yeah.
Looking back at the politics of that time,
Yeah.
and the decisions that were made,
Yeah.
do you think things should have been done differently?
Yeah, I obviously think that we should have done better. We ought not to have let the disagreements get to where they were. And even when the referendum failed, perhaps we still should have sought to sit with our colleagues who were on the no team. Perhaps we should have persuaded the president that we sit with our colleagues in the no team. Remember, this is a government we had looked for together. We should have thought to bridge those differences in order to move the nation forward. The fact that we did not do that is a collective mistake we must carry. And that poison is what led to that toxic environment, to the 2007 post-election violence, and the campaigns from 2005 December, after the failing of the referendum and the new cabinet, to 2007. It was 2 years of building upon a toxic environment and making it more toxic. We tried. President Kibaki, on my advice, formed a team of eminent persons to go around the country asking what we should do and making recommendations. They did, but the Odinga group boycotted it completely. That obviously undermined its legitimacy. We were not able to implement, even when I tried as Minister of Justice to bring together a multi-sectoral group to complete the constitutional review, because constitutional review was flagged as one of the major issues. Again boycotted by the Orange Democratic Movement, as it then was. We were not able to go far. And also some people inside my side, inside government, who wanted it scuttled. It failed. So we went to the elections in 2007, knowing we have a great problem, but not as government being able to do much to solve it. We also went and prepared security-wise, because the then Minister for Internal Security, the late John Michuki, had fallen out with the director of CID. They were nil by mouth. I did not know until after the post-election violence.
Really?
How do you coordinate security when there is animosity within the security sector and people not talking to one another? You see?
What had led to this?
Sorry?
What had led to that?
Only them can, whatever, but I think the fallout came from the Mamluki issue. Yeah.
There are those who say
Yeah.
that after the 2005 referendum and then the reconstitution of government, now people started digging in. There are those who were digging in from outside, and now they were forming the ODM and preparing for the election. And there are those who were left in Kibaki's side who were also digging in, and they were hardliners in Kibaki's side. Some people say that you're one of the hardliners. Is it true?
I think the term hardliners had not come by then, and therefore it could not be referring to that period. The term hardliners came when we were negotiating. And yes, I was seen as one of the hardliners. Remember, I led the Kibaki team, and nobody is going to call Kibaki the hardliner.
You are the chief
So
agent.
you take the bullet on behalf of your chief. Even the Western envoys, when talking of hardliners, they were talking of me and the others in the negotiating team, particularly me. But was I the principal in government? I was negotiating on behalf of a principal aside. So you go on instructions. But I learned diplomacy is also deception. Even when you know a truth, you put it in the way you want. So the sugar coating, because Kibaki will not be called a hardliner, Martha Karua will be the hardliner. But I'm not negotiating for my government. I'm negotiating for somebody else to whom I report and who must sign what I negotiate.
Martha,
Yeah.
Are you saying that you were purely just acting on instructions here?
Yes. By the way, I used to personally report to him every morning before going to the talks, and sometimes I would go with my entire team. And one issue which was making us be called hardliners is the issue of refusing to anchor the agreement in the Constitution. He had said no way. He wanted to accommodate Raila and his group in government, but he wanted to be able to appoint and fire, just like before. But Raila and his group, having been fired in 2005, were not going to take it that way. They wanted it in the Constitution, and they won. It ended up being in the Constitution, but we did not agree to it because our instructions were not to agree. So when Kofi Annan realized that he'll not get a yes from us, we agreed on everything else, and he said the remaining issue is for the principals. So he went, sat with Kibaki, Raila, and in the presence of Jakaya Kikwete of Tanzania. And lo and behold, they agreed.
That's when he escalated the matters to the principals.
That one issue.
When you were taking instructions from your president, because you've said before that this is a president who would listen, who would allow people to actually come and even do something. What were you advising him on this particular matter of anchoring the coalition, the agreement in the Constitution?
We advised him properly. We agreed to the coalition government. And I think when I look back on it, Kibaki must have, in the back of his mind, realized that he had to accommodate Raila and his group in government. Why? We had a hung parliament, half-half. It becomes very difficult to administer. With his years of experience, he had foreseen he will accommodate them. Remember, he had appointed only half cabinet. I asked him why he's not completing the appointments. Akaniambia, wewe ngoja, you know?
So he knew where this would lead.
In hindsight, he knew. So he gave us leeway, even when we made suggestions on how the coalition government would work. I helped him to craft what role the Prime Minister would play. And of course, we went and strengthened this with the group. Orengo advising Raila on the other side. Everything else we were able to agree, to advise and agree. But he didn't want the matter anchored in the Constitution. And he later personally agreed to it. And those who want to research, you can research. There's a time Kofi Annan had announced that there will be a coalition government. And he announced before we had agreed. I issued a statement saying we have not discussed it on the instructions of Kibaki. But Kibaki was so livid on the matter that even after I issued a statement, he himself issued his own statement from State House on the issue. So that was a no-go zone for him. How they got him to agree on a face-to-face meeting, only him could have told. And
maybe that's what he wanted. Maybe he wanted this one. This is a matter that only I can decide, and you must come to me.
Even that is okay. He was able to agree. He was the principal.
Okay.
It was his government.
But Martha, aside from just the advice, I know we're running out of time. Kibaki must have other people he was talking to, people he listened to. These leaders tend to. Were they in agreement with what he was suggesting? Or
those people would not even have been in agreement of anchoring it in the Constitution or even having a coalition government.
In the first place.
In the first place. You see? But Kibaki was an agreeable person.
Yes.
Yeah. And I am glad that he decided to tackle the last and main issue himself. Because then you get everybody unfairly telling you are the one who seeded government.
Yeah.
Because every evening there are members who would tell us that we are giving in too much. Because statements used to be issued on how much we have agreed. But all the time, Kibaki was in the know and giving us a go-ahead.
Finally, you've got to address this because at least you've written it in the book and now the book is out there. Every time you come here, Martha, there'll be people who come and say, yes, she's the president we need. Yes, she's the president we've not heard. Yes, she's done a good job. Yes, she's resolute. And then there will be many others who will say, I still remember the swearing in of Kibaki at night and Martha